back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the European Technology Network. Today is Wednesday, 29th of July. It is 12 on the dot. We have made good time again.
We have. It's time.
Before we get into everything today, let me tell you about our friends over there at Airwallex. Leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all-in-one platform. Go to airwallex.com. You can check all that out. What a banger of a show we have today. There's been a lot of news on the timeline just in the past 24 hours, to be honest. I made a post yesterday saying, what a time to be live, because we saw Zuck come back. Zuck is saying, let's speed up. He's not saying, let's slow down. He wants to push AI acceleration. He doesn't want to sign the treaty to slow things down, and we will get into that also. But wow, it really got quite hot yesterday on the timeline.
It did.
As we were finding our downtime, a lot of conversations around, is there going to be enough news for the European Technology Network to run 5 days a week? Guys, what a time to be live. We've got loads of news, and we're going to be digging into all of it today. Before we touch on that specifically, I'm going to pull up the Airwallex agenda. We can go through some of the guests that we have on today. We've got our first ever in-person guest. Roland Manthorpe is coming into the studio. He's a technology correspondent at Sky News, following Sam Stevenson, after that co-founder, and also likes to still call himself the designer of Granola. They just launched a collab with Apple Watch. It took over the timeline. They did 2 million impressions.
He famously builds products that aren't that are very design heavy. That is his. A product is meant to be consumed with beautiful design.
They're an aesthetic brand. We need to ask him about getting our hands on a spoon as well, the Granola spoon, the famous Granola spoon. Following that, we've got Mike Hudak, CEO and co-founder at Morse. Mike has an incredible background. He's worked at Monzo, he's worked at Facebook. We're going to be digging into what's going on in his world at Morse. Following that, we have Pavel Hermo, CEO and co-founder at a Zurich spin-out, actually, I believe. He's going to be coming on to the show to talk about that. Sorry, Zurich Q is actually how you spell it. It is an F Zurich spin-out, but Zurich Q is the company that they've just announced, and they've raised over 20 million in seed funding to work across quantum computing. Following that, we have Andreas Helbig, partner at Atomico.
The legend of the game.
Also coming into the studio live with us to sit down, have a good chat. So that's going to be fun. And wow, we are very excited to bring everyone on. I'm just trying to bring the Airwallex agenda down. There we go. We can get into the news straight off the bat. Before we dig into the news specifically, we did announce our own co-signature alliance program today. This was broken at 10 a.m. this morning. That is UK time. We've already had multiple signatures coming in. I'm just going to pull this one up if we can.
People are keen to turn their out-of-office emails on ASAP in August, so there's time for
We
them.
announced the August Holiday Alliance, and we already have a bunch of co-sigs. We can be going through them today. We tweeted this out earlier in response to what is happening in the world of AI right now.
How many of our guests have signed?
I think we have around 12.
But how many of our guests that are coming on today? 2?
Oh, guests from today.
Is Roland signed?
I'm not sure if Roland signed yet. We can ask him when he comes in.
He's not allowed through the door until he signs.
We can ask him when he comes in. But we put this out today. After our conversation on TVPN the other day, we thought, why don't we make our own Open August Holiday Alliance after they mentioned our Euromaxing summer. So this is our AI security advances when the industry goes on holiday.
Ibiza weekend.
It's an Ibiza weekend. AI security advances when the industry goes on holiday in August. Together, we're introducing the Open August Holiday Alliance, and we invite the timeline leaders to develop new techniques and tools to safeguard their holiday and Euromax as well. You can learn more about joining the alliance by dropping us a DM, and we will add you as a signature, or you can just comment cosign down below, and we will bring you into the alliance. We have had, we can go through the most recent. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are an additional 2 to add that we will be adding and announcing after the show. will come out
I
with
have
all
to
the
say,
code signs.
I have to say, Wojtek came out with the most, chess player comment so far. He said, "I will gladly sign it so my competitors go on August vacation." I commented saying, "Everyone else is playing checkers. Wojtek, he's playing chess."
He's inviting his competitors to sign.
That guy is standing on business.
August.
He's standing on business.
It's impressive work from Wojtek. We know that guy likes to party as well after our antics in Monaco.
He does.
Which we cannot talk about live on the show, only after hours. Let's get into the news. There's so much to discuss.
Let's get into the kind of the Glory founder and an operator kind of conversation that happened yesterday when Mark Zuckerberg posted his Wall Street Journal article. He said, "I wrote about why we believe the future is for everyone, more coming about a positive vision for a world with superintelligence soon." Nikita Beer then commented on that because Mark basically put the article, as most people do on X, as a comment because, as everyone knows, it's kind of common knowledge that when you comment and you put a link in your tweet, kills distribution. It kind of suppresses the growth of that tweet. Then Nikita comments and says, "Hello, Mark. You do not need to put the links in replies anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Mr. PG, the legend himself, then goes on and comments on Nikita's comment and says, "You no longer need to penalize tweets with links to them," which is a very valid question. I think Nikita could have given a bit more source to that. I think. It did open some questions like, can you actually put links in stuff and it's not going to suppress anything? And then Elon comments on PG's comment and says, "We haven't for over a year." Yeah. They need to be more vocal about this stuff.
I didn't know
that's
that was the case.
User experience right there. That it's annoying that you have to comment and put a source or put your article in a comment. It's like, go read the comments below. It's very annoying.
Yeah, I got to say, it's like the only place in the world where you can have...
Why would they suppress that, by the way?
Because I think it draws people out of X. So they want to disincentivize people leaving the platform, essentially. But now I think it's like they just don't need to do it.
It's also become as you were saying, it's become a news platform, right? So, or it kind of always has been, but this kind of newsy element to it is larger than ever. And so...
Well, this is what I've been talking about because I've been seeing Nikita has indirectly been referring it. Now he's a bit more openly doing it, but over the past 6 months, he's been indirectly referring to X as a news app. And it is. And I say that in a sense where there is nowhere else on earth that you can have discourse that sort of free-flowing from Mark Zuckerberg into Nikita Beer, into Paul Graham, into Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That is a four-way conversation. That's the only place you can do it. Can we pull this one up of Zuck's AI future is for everyone piece in the Wall Street Journal?
This was great. You read this, right?
Yeah. Well, it was great in many ways. One, because Zuck is back on X. He's been. He came back a few weeks ago. He's been tweeting a little bit. I think maybe they've realized that it is a great place to distribute a message. It is a great place to get your point across, and it's a great place to share your opinions with the world.
Well, look, there's more discourse than ever, right? So, why not be in the conversation? They've kind of, Meta's not really been in the conversation with Frontier AI so much in terms of model performance and everything. He releases their Meta model semi-recently, and so why not be in the conversation?
It makes sense.
You want to be a frontier AI leader, and there's no doubt that he is in the frontier, and he's his opinion matters a lot.
Yeah.
He runs one of the largest companies in the world and one of the best ad businesses ever in history. So, there's obviously that, but it's get him in the conversation. Yeah. Get him on X. Let's read the Wall Street Journal
article. Sorry, we can pull it up now. The AI future is for
Sam.
Everyone.
Yeah, apologize.
So Luke went on a little monologue there. I see Sam was freaking out.
It's like, Luke, stop talking, man.
Luke, the AI future is for everyone. The history of democracy and economics has proved that centralized power stifles human potential. This is Mark Zuckerberg in the Wall Street Journal calling for AI acceleration.
Can we just quickly talk about this thumbnail picture on the Wall Street Journal? It's very
stunning.
It's very artistic, isn't it?
Stunning.
Beautiful. What does it mean?
I think that's
three doves It's flying out of a human's brain that was also a cage.
It's freeing the conscious mind. Free your mind. There we go.
Nice.
Boom, done, one-shotted. We are fortunate to live in an incredible moment in history, says Mark Zuckerberg. In the next few years, people will be able to use superintelligence beyond human capacity to create and discover extraordinary new things, build new businesses, express our ideas, learn new concepts, and improve our lives, health, relationships, and careers. He starts off with a very optimistic take. He starts off with a very pro-AI take. This is a contrast to what we've seen previously with there's elements of doomerism being pushed from not only just Dario at Anthropic, but also we've seen with Sam Altman, less so with Demis, but it is a warning call. What we are building is very powerful. What we are building will have potentially negative impacts, but when we weigh up the positives with the negatives, this is ultimately something that we should pursue. It seems to be the general narrative that the lab CEOs are pushing at the moment. Mark comes on with a more optimistic take. He believes people should be more optimistic about AI, and he also says, if you aren't optimistic about AI and the amazing benefits that it can bring in the future, then why are you building AI? If you believe that it ends with a doomer ending, if the end game is doomerism, then why are you pursuing that? Mark says the defining question of our age isn't whether superintelligence will exist, but who will have access to it. Will it be centralized and restricted to a few institutions, or will it be a tool that empowers everyone? I propose a philosophy based on individual empowerment at the source of prosperity. Invention is the primary purpose of superintelligence, and balance of power as the foundation of safety. So there are elements of safety being brought in here, which is a very hot topic right now. We've seen Jensen's open letter saying, let's sign this thing, let's all pull together, open source is necessary, open weights is necessary. That's had some pushback from the US government with concerns around, are China going to be distilling our models? Mark believes it is surprising that the discourse from many of those who are developing artificial intelligence is so filled with doom. I don't understand why anyone who believes that AI will eliminate most jobs and much of humanity's relevance would rush to build that future. The notion that AI is so dangerous that the only safe path is an extreme concentration of power seems dangerous. Historically hoping that an absolute power will benevolently provide for humanity if sufficiently enlightened hasn't led to safe or positive outcomes. And this is a recurring theme throughout the whole piece. He stresses that if you do believe that the end game is doomerism, then why are you pursuing this power? Why are you pursuing this, this ultimate goal, right? Mm-hmm. There's elements of, for many, you could, where the incentives lie, potentially with money. But if you're aware of these risks and you're aware of them in a position that gives you kind of like a comparative advantage to see that far ahead based off your skill set, based off the fact that you've been working in this industry for many years, then why pursue it if that's what you truly believe? And it's not to say that, I don't think the other sort of AI leaders of the world are all doing this because they're evil and they want that to happen. I think that they're kind of flagging like, hey, this is a great thing. It's also a very powerful thing. Let's just make sure we get there in a way that benefits everyone.
I think the main thing is that no one really knows where this can go, right? So it's all a matter of opinion, and what really matters is alignment. And so hence the incredible amount of open letters that are being signed, understanding what is the consensus between people. Some people in some company believe one thing, and then leaders believe another thing, and that's definitely the case for Anthropic at the moment. And so this is like a kind of a nice calling card to, hey, AI is an amazing thing. Because of all this discourse, it's kind of getting, the waters getting muddy, and no one really knows what's really going on, and danger and safety is kind of being thrown around. So this is a nice kind of, hey, AI is a great thing. It's good for humanity, and that's what we're pushing for at Meta. I think it's a great message.
Yeah.
Carry on.
And he really pushes the narrative of the open source arguments that have been going around recently. He really pushes the arguments of the open weights messaging that's gone on recently. And he provides an interesting thought experiment. He says, as a thought experiment, imagine only one person had a super intelligent lawyer.
Yeah, this is cool. I like this.
He would have an unfair advantage in court, even if his position was wrong on the merits. That would lead to worse society. But now imagine everyone had a super intelligent lawyer. Justice would be carried out much more fairly and efficiently than it is today. When people are empowered, they naturally check and balance each other and the power of larger institutions. So again, it's kind of tipping on that theme of, yes, pro-open source, pro-acceleration, pro-optimistic. This is a great thing. This is a great technology. Let's embrace it. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
Let's make the most of it. But let's do it in a way that benefits everyone, not just one individual. And, no names are mentioned here, but people who, are following the timeline, who are following the story, they can kind of tell who maybe he is referring to, right? That is for, people to work out on their own. But it was, it obviously went viral. And it's nice to see Zuckerberg getting into the town square, getting into the conversations. I put a tweet out the other day about the team at X. They're doing a tremendous job of creating a world in which we can have this kind of discourse. I mean, Luke mentioned it just as the show began. We had a tweet thread of Mark putting out this message via the WSJ. We have Nikita coming in telling him, "Hey, buddy, like you don't have to bury the links in the comments anymore. You can just embed it directly. It won't hurt distribution." Paul Graham's like, "When did this happen?" I don't, founder of my thought, when did I don't know this. And Musk then comes, "Hey, it's been around for a year." Like, there is nowhere else.
That's the only distribution that they've done of that. Change,
I didn't know that they were
probably a great
they were doing that. Musk just finishes off the piece saying, "If superintelligence is widely distributed, then I believe we will see more jobs in the future, not fewer." It's a very specific take there. We will not see a loss of jobs. We will see more jobs.
Well, he talks about the fact that humans are an efficient species, right? Like we will always this has happened before. It's like a cyclical thing, and so yes, there's a little bit of doomerism. He doesn't really understand the doomerism based on history. This has kind of happened before. It's almost like a repeat. Yes, no one really knows what's going on, but he can guarantee in 10 years that there will be like generally. Humans will have purpose and jobs and more value. It's going to create more, not less. And so he says, I expect the economy will become more entrepreneurial with a greater number of people working at small businesses rather than larger companies, which is an interesting take.
We see this every time. We see this every time with, cars are made. Everyone's crying about the horses and carriages. Look at what happened after that. And then we saw it with Uber. We saw taxi drivers in New York. There's a famous video of yellow cab drivers in New York chasing after Uber cars and trying to damage them and kick them and vandalize them. And you can understand from their perspective. But if we zoom out as a society, like that was a great step. That was a great thing. It's created a lot of value, created a lot of jobs, created a new way in which we travel. And then we look at robo-taxis. And we mentioned it on the opening episode. I was slightly worried with Burnham's new gang coming in and saying, like, why do we need these? Who asked for these? Has anyone thought about the cab drivers? Has anyone thought about the Uber drivers? And it's like, guys, this is the next step.
Roll with the times.
This is the next step. Roll with the times.
Yeah. Well, he says, he finished the article and says, the arc of human history has bent towards putting more power in people's hands. If these values lead the way, then I'm optimistic that we can build a positive future for everyone. Very, very positive article, and frankly, quite refreshing, right? He's kind of come in. Yes, he's writing in these kind of trad media publications, but come in on X specifically, and almost like reinstated his voice. And it's like, hey, I'm almost like coming in as the voice of reason, and I think that's a great thing. Perfect timing. Obviously, Jensen, did a very similar thing about a week ago. So you will see more discourse, but generally more positivity from people who are going to step up and say, hey, this is, yes, there's a lot of discourse about whether this is good or not good, but like we're doing this for humanity. I am a person, it would be great to talk to Mark about it.
I would love to do that one day. Closing remarks from Zuckerberg. Developing superintelligence will be the most profound technological advance we will see in our lifetimes. Meta is committed to building with the principles of individual empowerment, invention, and balance of power. The arc of human history has bent toward putting more power in people's hands. If these values lead the way, then I am optimistic that we can build a positive future for everyone. Mr. Zuckerberg is CEO of Meta, says WSJ to end that off.
Let's quickly go to. So he also had an article that came out on the FT. If we can pull this up, Sam, that would be super useful.
Before we do that, I just want to tell you about our friends over there at Framer.
Go.
Build better sites faster. The all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship production-ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. We migrated ETN to Framer. It was seamless. If you want to reach out to us, you can go ahead and do it on our site.
For sure.
Let's hear it for Framer.
For sure.
They
like Framer in the studio, which is good.
We love Framer.
Let's talk about the FT article. Mark Zuckerberg says US should not ban Chinese AI. Let's just quickly appreciate. Can we get this on the screen? Let's just quickly appreciate the photo that the FT has used here. I have to say, a little bit better than the artsy one the Wall Street Journal used. He is seriously mogging in this photo. Let's just put it up. I'm just waiting to see if we can get it on the screen. But while we're waiting for that, Mark Zuckerberg has said the US administration should not block Chinese models to gain an edge in the AI arms race and warned against regulatory capture by American frontier labs that could throttle domestic competition. Look at that photo, man. That's a steely jaw right there.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like the Giga Chad meme.
Yeah, it's good lighting.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Very Giga Chad meme.
Yeah, he's on it. In an interview with the FT, Zuckerberg said that banning cutting-edge Chinese AI in the US would not be an effective solution as Washington threats to target labs over claims of intellectual property theft. The Meta founder on Tuesday publicly joined an intense debate in Washington and among leading AI players about how the US should regulate the fast-moving technology and respond to increasing Chinese competition. These discussions have accelerated since Beijing-based Moonshot AI, which actually just raised $3.5 billion.
That is breaking news, by the way.
As of about 20 minutes ago.
Let's try and find that.
This month released its Kimi K3 model, whose capabilities are nearing those of OpenAI and Anthropic. Zuckerberg came out against the ban, saying US companies should systematically identify bottlenecks and roadblocks in order to better compete with Beijing in the AI race. Both countries regard as critical to national security and prosperity. So he's weighing in here. There was also a piece from Anthropic that came out around the same time, basically stating that we should kind of like be on pace. We should pace the frontier, make sure that we are putting the regulation and everything else in place to make sure that we aren't just bulldozing our way through very frontier AI. I think it's again just a nice, almost like a nice argument to go into for him to just put himself into and say, hey, I am the voice of reason. I'm going to go and do this thing. So it's good. I thought it was a great article.
No, you love to see it. And yeah, Kimi has actually just raised $3.5 billion at a $35 billion valuation. Bloomberg has broken the news around an hour ago. Targeted $2 billion, got $3.5 billion. That's 300 million ARR in June, up from 200 million in April. Daily sales up 6x after the K3 launch. Kimi K3 is printing money, says Nick, friend of the show. We'll be having him on next week.
They actually, I think they were about to raise $2 billion, but it was oversubscribed by about $1.5 billion.
Targeted $2 billion, got 3.5.
That's nuts.
Which is pretty crazy. We can see here Nick has reported live. That is at NS123ABC, capital letters NIK. Moonshot raises 3.5 billion at 35 billion valuation. Targeted, $2 billion, got 3.5. The ARR numbers are insane. This is huge. This is huge for the industry. This is a stamp of approval. We saw DeepSeek go out to raise. The only reason, apparently, that they were raising when they did was because they had to keep their employees. They had to offer their employees more cash because they were just getting poached from a bunch of different frontier labs. DeepSeek kind of had the pedestal as this sort of non-American model. Now we're seeing a few more players come in. The area has kind of been a little bit more slow to catch up, typically 4 to 6 months behind behind the frontier labs. But But yeah, this will truly shake things up in the space.
And just following on from if we went down towards the bottom of the article about Zuckerberg. It says the Trump administration is expected to announce a voluntary framework for AI model developers to submit their tools for testing ahead of release as early as this week. I remember it saying around 30 to 60 days of a testing period. And I think Mark came back and said that's just like far too long. He then said Zuckerberg told the FT that restricting the most powerful tools was not the right answer to cybersecurity concerns, since they could help companies to find ways to identify and patch vulnerabilities, similar to what happened with OpenAI and Hugging Face. Hugging Face got a breach, and then they were trying to use a closed source frontier model to kind of patch the vulnerability up. They couldn't use it. It wasn't available. So then they moved to open source, and they were able to get in, sort the vulnerability out, and then patch it up as well using a frontier kind of open source model. So that was like a clear example of the point towards open weight models, and Zuckerberg is obviously he's using that as an example to say, hey, look, this is exactly why we need to not restrict any of the most powerful models, because it's a good thing regardless of this distillation problem. So yeah, a nice weigh in from him.
Yeah, you love to see it. We can discuss the moonshot raise briefly, but before we do that, I want to tell you about some more of our friends that are out there. Let me tell you guys about 11 Labs. 11 Labs, AI that communicates at human level across every channel and modality, deploy conversational agents across every customer interaction, and create on-brand content at scale in 70+ languages. Go to 11labs.io and you can get a hold of all the good stuff that those guys are doing over there. This is heating up a lot. I mean, I think that we're going to see, we can talk to Roland about this. We can talk to Roland about this. Please. You're a little bit behind.
So delayed, bro.
That is our amazing crew over there who are watching live. Amazing. Moonshot.
They're not really watching live. They're watching live with a 10-second delay.
I've got the Bloomberg article here. So this broke literally an hour ago. This is breaking news. Moonshot AI has secured $35 billion valuation after raising a larger than anticipated $3.5 million in a just closed round of financing, riding the moment from a breakthrough Kimi K3 model that sent ripples through Silicon Valley. The Beijing-based startup managed to secure far more than $1 billion to $2 billion it initially targeted. People familiar with the matter said. We love those guys, the guys that are familiar with the matter. They're always popping up in these articles. The National Artificial Intelligence Industry Investment Fund. Whoa, let's get the party horn going for that name. That is an incredible name. Just imagine the merch that these guys could put out. I would definitely purchase it. I would hope for some sort of Gap-styled zip-up woolen jumper, I think, from those guys. That would be nice. my request. The National Artificial Intelligence Industry Investment Fund, the state vehicle. That's also a
How big is the fund?
Wait a sec. These are the guys we covered.
More than 500 million.
These are the guys we covered. These are the guys that we said they do great merch. They did DeepSeek.
Oh.
Those are the guys. That was the name. I completely forgot that.
Nice,
That's so cool. Good to see those guys popping up again. They were among the lead investors in the round, the people said, asking not to be identified to talk about private information. Moonshot is now reaching out to potential backers for a new funding round at a $50 billion pre-money valuation, aiming to secure capital a final time before an initial public offering in Hong Kong as soon as this year.
Let's go.
Things are heating up. Things are heating up.
What happens when they do IPO? What does that mean?
You got me on the spot here.
This discourse just like.
It will accelerate everything. More capital comes in, open source. It proves that open source is a viable financial outcome for any investors in the future.
Indeed.
Their round sizes go up, their valuations go up, the attention they get goes up. They'll probably spread into every single enterprise. We're already seeing it, right?
Do we know what happens with, what's the Polymarket chart saying about the possibility of an Anthropic IPO now? Let's have a look.
What's going on with that, actually? That was kind of hot stuff, but...
But that's the thing. It's not Let's have a look.
We saw SpaceX is it's down 50% from highs when they IPO. Did you end up sinking all of your money into SpaceX or not?
I didn't. No.
Good move.
Anthropic IPO by July 31st, less than 1%. But by the end of the year, 69%. We could probably share this on my screen if possible. But yeah, Polymarket says an Anthropic IPO by the end of the year is 69% likely, but it's down 20%.
Interesting. Well, there's not been that many comms around.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, what they're doing over there, with that sort of stuff.
And then in a few months, still 36%. So whether that's possible or not, I don't really.
So what's that saying? December 31st, 2026 is 69%. Obviously, it's 69. That's hilarious. And then okay,
sure.
Interesting. And yeah, it's down. Was that down 20%?
Oh, hello. Sorry, everyone.
Down 20%.
Yeah, down 20%.
That's down a lot. That's a lot more than I thought. Back to the article here. I can just riff off this. The Chinese startup's frenetic deal making underscores the enormous investor interest in a private firm that this month leapt to the forefront of the industry with K3, which approached the performance of frontier models by Anthropic, PBC, and OpenAI. Its debut triggered a sell-off in tech stocks and was hailed as another DeepSeek moment. For those who remember the DeepSeek moment, that was one of the more popular black swan events of the modern era. Everything tanked. There were some amazing fire sales going on there. And then it rebounded almost instantly. I think it was less than a week. Everything was back to where it was previously, providing evidence that the country's AI labs can keep pace with the US despite export curbs and computing constraints. Representatives from an investor in the National AI Industry Investment Fund, I love that name so much, and its manager didn't respond to emailed requests for comment. A Moonshot spokesperson didn't respond to an emailed request for comment either.
They're locked in.
So Monday, they released its weights, numeric values the model learned during training, allowing developers to download. Okay, yeah, Moonshot's success has also thrust it into the center of the US-Chinese tensions. This is what most of the discourse is around right now. A White House official accused the company of training K3 on a restricted NVIDIA Corp chips while reiterating allegations of distillation. The practice of extracting those outputs from top competitors to boost performance, saying it's a cheat. But then we've seen, there were arguments the other day that Google has distilled everything from Microsoft back in the day. So one can form their own opinions around that. I think that's kind of fair. It's kind of using what you have around you. You can argue whether that is.
It was the Chamath tweet saying, "Don't hate the player, hate the game."
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
We
should tell that to the Bloomberg team. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Moonshot achieved 300 million of annual recurring revenue, as Nick reported earlier, a gauge of future sales and what does it look like for the future of this company. In June, that was jumping from 200 million in April. Bloomberg also reported earlier. Since the K3 launch, daily sales have surged at least 6 times, a person familiar with the matter said. Again,
maybe we can get the person familiar with the matter in the studio one day.
I would love to do that. I'm sure they'd probably want to join anonymously, but there is enough room for everyone here in the cage of compliance.
They could do that. We could just turn that light off and have this dark.
Like a dark. Well, actually, it's probably about time you stand up and show off your outfit, actually, because Luke's outfit mogging me today.
Bruh.
Look at that.
We're going deep.
Yeah, his outfit oh, nice.
It's so we just walk around.
Yeah, just get used to those shoes. Just wear them in. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Well, this is where we're going to have our first guest very soon, Roland Manthorpe, a technology correspondent at Sky News, will be joining us live here at this table.
Before we do that, let's talk about pacing the frontier. But before we do that, should we talk about one of our lovely...
Yeah, I think we should. I was just thinking that in my head right now. Let's hear it for BVNK, everybody. BVNK, accelerating the global money movement. BVNK provides enterprise-grade stablecoin infrastructure for global business, enabling fast, compliant payments and digital asset solutions worldwide. Go to bvnk.com to get involved with all the good stuff that's got going on over there.
Let's talk about pacing the frontier.
Now let's talk about pacing the
frontier. This
frontier.
was an article from Bloomberg that came out yesterday. Petition echoes recent calls from AI leaders for a new international watchdog to vet and set standards for cutting-edge AI models and suggests the creation of a system in which governments and AI developers could collectively decide when to slow work on AI to save off to stave off any risks.
Sam's going to pull up the what people were signing. Basically, they put something out. It says July 2026, pacing the frontier. A statement from 1,224 employees of Frontier AI companies. That number is growing, by the way. That number is growing. That was 1,178 employees of Frontier AI companies only 1 hour ago. It's got a nice list of the signatories on the left. I can just sort of list out, but on the screen we can see up the top there, we've got John Schulman, Chief Scientist, Thinking Machines, Jacob Petrocchi, Chief Scientist, OpenAI, Co-founder and Chief Science Officer at Anthropic, Jared Kaplan, Shengjia Zhao, Chief Scientist at Meta, Mark Chen, Chief Research Officer at OpenAI, a bunch of people. The list goes on. It goes on another 1,221 times.
I have 1,224. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah,
sorry, but because I listed a few off.
Yeah, nice.
Just doing some quick math there live. I think I was actually off by 1, actually.
I love this kind of UI of the...
It's clean.
Yeah, it is.
Real
like
clean.
John Schulman has a quote. He said, "Signed because this statement helps establish common knowledge about the possible need for coordination mechanisms as automated AI research accelerates progress. I'd also like to see labs start designing these mechanisms voluntarily, even before the USG gets involved." Super interesting. I really like that they add actual quotes from the people. That's really good.
It's very interactive. Broad statement looks something along the lines of AI could help create a dramatically better future, but that outcome is not guaranteed. The world's leading AI companies believe they could be close to automating AI research. It is hard to predict exactly how much this will accelerate AI progress, but there is a real risk that capability development rapidly accelerates beyond our ability to understand or control the resulting systems. To realize AI's potential, industry, government, and society at large may need the option to buy time to address emerging risks, develop security measures, and strengthen oversight. But each company and country is under intense competitive pressure not to unilaterally slow that acceleration. And like just very, very quickly, we saw this when during Davos, I think it was Dario, when he was in his optimistic arc, Dario and Demis had said...
when they did the kind of roundtable interview.
Yeah, they were like, hey guys, we would be chill with a pause. We'd be chill with a global pause. But I'm not sure if Musk and
I remember Demis just being like, we just can't. We like it's physically not possible.
Yeah, because they just lose. You don't have a horse in the race. And I don't know what's going on at DeepMind. We can touch that later today. We saw some news earlier about AlphaFold has been disbanded. They're getting reallocated internally to some great stuff, but it did make me a little bit sad that the AlphaFold team has been, a few have left, and then they've kind of reorganized things internally.
Some have left to go and start their own companies, to go and build shareholder value elsewhere.
Which is a great thing.
To go and build their own shareholder value, which I actually think is a really good thing.
I know, let me hit that.
That's what you want. You want incredible progress from one company in Frontier AI, from wherever else in the world. Then, I don't know, that creates 50 people who go and start other frontier companies to go and create prosperity elsewhere.
So I have a hot take.
And think about all those shareholders. There's obviously going to be some circular shareholding going on, but then also you have, incredible amounts of prosperity being created. Great.
I agree. Let me hit you with this hot take.
But you were sad that AlphaFold team has been disbanded.
I'm sad that AlphaFold might not be getting the attention that it previously was getting. That's all. But my hot take is...
Yeah, they got no Nobel Prize, pretty sure.
Let me...
Let him cook.
I said let him cook. So there was a hot take. This is ages ago. This is actually on My First Millions. About 5 years ago now. I can't remember who the guest was, but the guest came on and they said... I
just played the crickets.
When we... Okay, we're going to have some fun today. They said, when we look at mass layoffs, now this is a pretty hot take to be fair. I'm not saying that this is my opinion, but I can understand where they're coming from. When we look at mass layoffs...
Wait, who said this? Sam Parr?
No, someone on the show. I can't remember who it was. But they were kind of aligned on the take in general. But when we look at mass layoffs as a thing from a really great company, let's say like, insert a Mag 7 company and maybe like a bunch of the senior researchers there, the senior engineers, in the past, maybe they were to get laid off. I doubt that would happen now because their value has gone up. But what we have is a kind of redistribution of talent, like the equilibrium shifts of talent. So these people, if they have been laid off, they can go, maybe they go to a smaller company, maybe they start their own company. So like overall, more value in general. you know?
Yeah, so there's a take where, say, I don't know, company has 100,000 employees. They lay off 1,000 of those employees because they're not necessarily performing, and
Natural churn. Yeah,
maybe like 6 months ago, or no, less than that, probably 2 or 3 months ago, when all of these CEOs were kind of laying off people, and they were kind of like directing it to AI. That was a thing.
AI washing, they called it.
Indeed. Yeah. Think about it when a CEO has, they built the company to a 100,000 employee company. They're obviously going to have some bloat. They're going to have some employees that don't necessarily align well with the company, and therefore layoffs are going to happen. So they lay off 1,000 of those 100,000 people.
They played the SpongeBob fail, by the way.
Indeed. Those 1,000 people could be incredible employees elsewhere, or they could be incredible founders.
Yes.
Right? So I think twisting it into a semi-positive thing is possible.
Yeah, but imagine if, okay, I agree with you, and that's what,
obviously, like,
that is the hot take. But imagine if the CEO is announced that next, like, we're laying 1,000 people off because
they're not good, but they could be good somewhere else.
They could be much better somewhere else, and we want to see a bunch of these, competitors pop up. But I agree. I think that it's kind of a redistribution of talent. Obviously, it has to be like the right people, and if they're really good, why would they be getting laid off? So that doesn't really quite make sense.
Well, no, but it's a pretty standard thing for an employee to potentially not be great in one company, but absolutely crush it somewhere else.
Yeah.
That is a very real thing.
If you judge a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree, it will forever think it is a fool.
Is that a thing?
I think I've heard that somewhere.
Denied.
Quote. No, what? That was right. Moving slightly on, but yeah, that is titled "Pacing the Frontier." People, it's less so let's stop. It's more let's figure out how we can prepare if we needed to break or slow things down. It's not saying let's just stop here and then we'll be done with it, and guys, we need to pause everything. It's more saying that, like, we should be prepared to have a system or a process in which we can all align and slow things down. So
both are concurrent industry policy pushes on AI governance, but one prioritizes openness and diffusion, while the other seeks breaking the mechanisms for the frontier, right? So Jensen Huang's open letter on whatever, like a few days ago, July 24th, NVIDIA plus all the other companies signing, famously not Anthropic, defends the open weight models against premature restrictions, arguing that they boost the US innovation, safety via transparency, cybersecurity, and sovereignty. The world needs both open and closed frontier models. But then Anthropic's letter that they've just posted, it urges US backing for international tools to deliberately pace automated frontier development, citing recursive self-improvement risks that could outrun control. So it's kind of like tied to what they said back in June, and Dario in his open letter said, this is the thing that I mentioned in my article 6 months ago as well. So they're two different petitions, obviously both on AI governance, but in a very different kind of in a very different light. And they, the function is different. They're very, very different. So yeah.
Yep. Agree. Very quickly, we can do DeepMind disbands AlphaFold team in strategy shift. Teams will focus. The team's focus will be on Gemini, enzyme design, and nuclear fusion and genomics. Which isn't bad news. It's not bad news. Lovely photo of the gang here. We love to see Demis. Always a huge fan. Demis, one day we will have you on, and that will be an amazing day.
Hopefully the gang is a little bit bigger than 2 people.
No, of course. That's just that's him and John Jumper.
It is.
OGs.
And they talk about that.
Now
Google
actually
DeepMind.
joined Anthropic. Can't start for another year though. He's on gardening leave. 1 year he can't start to do any work. So by that time, what's happened? It's like, hey, join us, but join in a year during the AI race.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you sneeze, you've missed a new model drop. Quickly on this, this is FT, published 8 hours ago. Google DeepMind has dismantled the team behind AlphaFold, its Nobel Prize-winning AI system for predicting protein structures, as the company overhauls the research strategy that made it one of the world's leading AI laboratories. For anyone who's not seen is it not the Infinity Machine, the documentary?
The Demis documentary.
Yeah, the Infinity Machine was Sebastian's book that came out recently.
Yeah.
The Infinite Game, I think maybe. I'm probably butchering the name. An amazing documentary, and it walks you through.
There's something game.
Yeah. Me and Kaplan were talking about it the weekend in at Soho Farmhouse, which is a real shame because I can't remember. I also got incredibly sunburnt then. I wonder if it still shows on the camera. But yeah, the majority, the thinking game, absolute legend. Let's do a tabal. The majority of the original authors of the AlphaFold papers have been reassigned over the past year, according to an FT analysis of recent job moves and people familiar with the matter. Some of these have gone to other labs. Some of these are starting their own companies. We're in a time now where if you do have that experience, if you are one of the founders of or the team of AlphaFold, why would you not? We had one of them on the show, founder of Latent Labs, incredible interview, doing incredible work. Those are great things. So I'm very positive about that. I did put a tweet out that said that this made me a little sad. With that in mind, DeepMind confirmed the staffers have moved internally to projects built around Google Gemini's large language model, as well as areas including enzyme design, nuclear fusion, and genomics. Others have relocated to Alphabet's drug discovery company, Isomorphic Labs. I think they raised a $2 billion valuation 5 months ago now, maybe. Yeah. I'd have to just triple check that. We did cover it, but it was months ago.
Working on commercializing what AlphaFold did for the pharmaceutical kind of industry. And they have a bunch of, they have like Eli Lilly as one of their customers for kind of like using AI to speed up drug discovery.
And they just bought that psychedelic thing for
Indeed, they did.
360 mil.
No. He made 360 mil. They bought it for over $1 billion.
Oh, that was his cash out?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They bought
no wonder he's doing ayahuasca on the beach in Canary Islands, mate. Live it. See, this is what I say. When we post-money researchers, what do?
He's not a researcher. He's a consumer founder.
Okay, fair enough. He's just a guy who made loads of money.
They're not missionaries, unfortunately.
That's fair.
They're doing this for cash out and get out.
That's fair. That is fair. Isomorphic Labs, they raised $2.1 billion in Series B funding. That was May 12, 2026, led by Thrive Capital, participation from Alphabet, of course, GV, and they welcome new investors, MGX, Tamasek, Capital G, and then also our boys over there at Solve AI. Shout out to James Wise. They got a little check in there too. Love to see it. Back to the article. This is a quote from Pushmeet Koil, Vice President of Research at Google DeepMind. Our strategy over the last 9 years has been to focus on grand challenges, a concrete goal every subject is focused on. The strategy has evolved, that's what he's saying. He said, rather than simply organizing researchers around a single scientific problem, such as protein folding, the AI lab is now also focused on building Gemini-powered systems that can assist scientists and eventually automate parts of the scientific process while competing with OpenAI and Anthropic to develop frontier AI agents. I'm not going to lie, they have not been in the conversation.
They haven't, no.
They have not been in the conversation. And they were up.
Look, they were
riding high. They flew too close to the sun.
They're a frontier lab, but they're obviously doing something very different to, say, an OpenAI or an Anthropic. Obviously, I think, was it OpenAI or Anthropic that released their science model? I think it was Anthropic. I think it was called Claude Science, I believe.
They were just chucking stuff out every day though at that point. Wasn't it like Claude Design or something that came out?
Yeah. So the reorganization also reflects a broader shift, as you mentioned. Anthropic this year launched Claude Science, a version of its AI assistant designed to support research in biology and drug discovery. But if you think about it, right, Gemini is, or Google DeepMind, is ahead of the other frontier labs on, kind of very, very scientific problems. But then again,
they're doing a bunch of stuff.
Consumer stuff, they're maybe not in the conversation as much, despite the fact they were when they released their semi-recent model in. When they released their model in November, I remember it being like, oh wow, okay, these guys are they've just shot to the top. And obviously now there's been a lot of movement since then. And they've kind of gone down on the consumer side, but then they are a research lab doing, their focus is scientific research. It's not, hey, how can we get the best consumer?
I'm not sure what their stock is saying, but it is relatively down. We saw Apple cross the 5T mark. Google down 5.32% in the last month. They were riding high earlier this year at around 400 USD per share, now at 332 and 60 pence. But you know, I got diamond hands. I'm in it for the long haul. You know, I ain't selling. I ain't selling my Google shares. No way. Later on in this article, just to close it out, they do touch on on Jumper, who is pictured in the photo above. We covered this when the news broke. So earlier this year, Jumper and fellow AlphaFold researcher Jonas Adler moved to Google's internal CodeStrike team, a group assembled to improve the company's AI coding capabilities as it seeks to catch Anthropic and OpenAI. Last month, Jumper announced he was leaving for Anthropic, where he will be joined by Adler and AlphaFold colleague Alexandra Pritzel. That we also found out as that news was breaking that he wouldn't start at Anthropic. He had 1 year of gardening leave. 1 year of gardening leave before he can start work at Anthropic, obviously through some sort of non-compete. I don't know what it is, but a year in this space it's an eternity. Mm-hmm. People are, you know, so I think most of the lab leaders, Altman, Musk, if we want to throw SpaceX AI in there. Demis had mentioned some things around this, but all are kind of, Dario included, are all kind of admitting that we are in the singularity already. It's the very early stages of it. If not in it right now, it's only moments away. 1 year is far too long to have someone of this individual's caliber, sit on the sideline. I assume they're not sat on the sidelines, but
I assume. I mean, it's a testament to Anthropic and I guess what they're doing, right? It's like, I want to go and join this company so badly that as one of the top people in this space globally, in the most important topic, in global history.
Don't forget the cheddar.
Probably a bit of money. But then again, they're all post money. They're not doing this. They're not doing this for the money. They're doing this for
the missionaries.
A missionary.
Yeah.
They are missionaries. So it's a testament. Topic. It's a testament to them to be like, I'm going to spend a year out just so I can join this other company.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing for Anthropic to say my company or this company is so desirable. Someone who is at the top of the field is going to spend a year out of. I mean, even like a few months out is like
it's insane. We were out for a month, and I came back, and I felt like I'd never, tweeted before. That's a tragic reference, but it kind of makes sense. In my head, it does.
You're very different to John Jumper.
Yeah, we have different names. But what you mentioned is actually a really interesting point. And I was thinking about this recently before we did the 1 month pause, before we did the global pause of ETN. Are we at the point now where even if it wasn't insane amounts of cash, because as you say, like some of these guys, they're post money, they're not really that bothered about some of these like big signing bonuses. I don't know if things have calmed down since the AI wars that we were experiencing last year in terms of these like sometimes $1 billion package signing bonuses. But are we at a point now where we're
it's got
nearing?
hotter.
But I don't see any numbers anymore.
No, I know, but I think it's like we've moved on.
And you think like it's not even interesting anymore? We're kind of desensitized to it anyway.
I think it's a desensitization. I think I heard on a podcast the other day about, this is semi-off topic, but more about the circular deal type stuff. And you would see, when NVIDIA goes and invests in SSI for, $1 billion of cash. Obviously, it's a circular deal, but when, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, when a frontier lab or chip maker or whatever it is goes and does some form of circular deal with someone, they kind of they add all these elements to it, a bit of discount here, and then we're going to go partner in this part, and then we're going to go do this, just to kind of make it look like it's less, make it look less like it's a circular deal. Whereas now it's just cold hard cash, and it's like cash. Obviously. Indeed. Obviously, it's a circular deal, but I think we're so desensitized to it; it doesn't even matter anymore. So it's kind of along those lines.
We're not seeing it though. If it is happening, why are we not seeing scoops? Why are we not the information? Surely should be leaking something here. This is, I feel like that's their thing. Why are we not seeing that? I'm just surprised at that.
What leaks of billion-dollar pay packages.
Yeah. Because there were loads of them. There were not even like a billion, but like hundreds of millions, all the way up to a billion. I just find it surprising that we.
There are a few billion-dollar pay packages. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't hear about it. Is what I'm saying. Like we're not seeing it in the news. Like
it's not getting clicks.
I think that would get clicks, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned like that. Maybe
things move on. I think.
Yeah. Maybe we had the moment. Maybe it's gone.
Well, that's the thing. Like, all of these publications aren't talking about circular deal. That was, in yesterday's show, we read the article. I think it was yesterday's show. We read the article, and just in 2 months ago, that would be in the headline.
Yeah.
New circular deal. But now it's just like in the article saying, in the latest circular deal, NVIDIA invests $5 billion.
One.
Yeah, NVIDIA invests $5 billion in SSI. So it's like, that's just, it doesn't get clicked. That's not the thing that is the hook. It's now just a thing. So yes, we're just desensitized to it.
Within that, just following on from that, I know we spent a lot of time on this. We have Roland joining us in 6 minutes, but I'm finding this conversation fascinating.
He's not on our sofa.
He is not on the guest sofa that we imported from Italy, by the way.
Can we get a close up on the sofa?
Is that
we got that? Yeah.
Yeah, is that possible? That would be amazing.
Let me just go and start.
Yeah, maybe we could just drag Luke's camera over there. Will that work? There, we've fixed onto the internet. Max is now live and direct. Look at that. Crushing it over there. Oh, you can see Luke, kind of. Look at him outfit mogging me like that. Oh, wow. We've got a... Can do my... Zoolander. We've got Roland joining us shortly. We're just trying to get you guys a look at our Italian couch. Oh, sneak peek at the aircon there as well. Look at that trussy thing. But that is Frontier with the aircon. What I was saying, we can continue just very, very briefly as we have 5 minutes left before Roland joins us. The interesting thing around this, though, is, and I'm trying to work this out now, like, are we so close to the end? And the end might not be the right word because
there is no end.
It may have negative connotations. I don't mean that. I don't mean that at all in a negative way. But we're close to the end of the race, potentially, if we're in the singularity. Has it got to a point where there is an obvious winner? There's an obvious horse out in the front. I don't know what the answer to that is. With that in mind, then, is it no longer, okay, the pay actually isn't that interesting. I want to join whoever's got the best research. I spoke to Sam Hogg about this a few weeks ago. Is that now the thing that pulls me in? And let's say like the research is the best. That company has the highest chance of reaching AGI, and therefore the employees have the highest chance of making a big pay package. But then I guess if we do achieve AGI, then money is redundant because we all live in a future and a world of abundance. So yeah, but an interesting topic nonetheless. I think to ponder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what you're saying.
Okay, never mind. We've got Roland joining us very, very shortly. He will be sat right here. Oh, has the mic been there the whole time?
It has.
Okay. Roland will be joining us sat right here. I hope that our team are taking care of him and he is able to get himself a nice coffee. We've got the finest coffee in London, sat right here. We've got an amazing coffee shop just across the road, and we actually went in and we acquired a bag of beans.
We did.
From this coffee shop. I don't know, I forget the flavour though.
Like a chocolate and I don't know, there was some chocolate thrown in there.
That's pretty good.
It was good.
Good to me.
It's good.
It's pretty good to me.
Very nice.
After this interview, as I said, we've got a few more. For those that have come in slightly late, I can pull up the Airwallex agenda again just to show you guys what the day looks like, who else we're speaking to today. Roland is joining us in 3 minutes. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, DSIT, open letters, open weights, what is going on right now in AI. Sam Stevenson from Granola, co-founder, will be joining us at 1:30 after Roland's interview. We're going to be discussing the partnership they've just done with Apple Watch. Following that, we've got Mike Hudak, CEO and co-founder of Morse. He's done a lovely tweet saying how excited he is to join us. Pavel Hermo, CEO and co-founder of Zurich. And Andreas Helbig to finish that off. But I'm getting word from our team that we have Roland coming into the studio. I'm going to grab Roland a chair. Let's just get the Wii Sports music playing.
Wow, incredible, this is it. Here we are. Wow, what an honor! What an honor!
Here
First
we are.
ever.
Wow, even
First
better than in
ever.
real life,
First ever in-person guest. Welcome to the show, my man.
guys. Congratulations!
Thank you so
Well
much.
made
We
up for
appreciate
you.
it.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic.
We appreciate it.
Oh, really, really chuffed for you.
It's a
Just
pleasure
incredible.
to host you. How is the chair there? Are you a bit low?
Well, I've got this big leaning back.
Are you
thing.
gonna do
So
a-
we can
Yeah,
adjust
just-
live
just
on the
pull-
show.
just push
This would be a
that-
great
push
clip.
that in, like, there should be
okay.
one on the right, I think.
As you can tell, guys, we are still working out the in-person element of the show. You'll have to bear with us as we figure
All
out.
right,
There we go. There you go. You're in.
go.
You're in.
Okay.
How are you? Are you
We're
good?
doing it.
Hot. Yeah.
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 is-
I
it
see
is
you've gone
warm
for
in
the
here.
really the European vibe. The AC.
We
it's
need to get
present.
we need to get some built-in AC.
Yeah.
We are in the process of getting some.
We've got,
but
we've
at the
got some
moment
AC
we have
there. That's AC.
yeah we have more like kind of temporary AC.
Yeah.
You know, which I guess is very European of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
Mate, it's so
Yeah.
good to have you in here.
Oh,
it's so good to
so
see you
good to
again
see you.
after
This
our
is-
lovely lunch
honestly.
a few weeks back.
Yeah, exactly.
What a fun time.
Incredible. Honestly, you guys have done so fantastically. You are doing brilliantly. It's so great to see people in this area. I know how difficult it is. I know how hard you've worked. Absolutely made
you're a
up
leg.
for you both.
You're a
I
legend, mate.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Yeah,
so much.
so
start
nice
with
to
you,
appreciate
Jai.
it.
I know it.
And we can actually.
Well, you're the man of the hour now. So we want to
I
ask
can hit
questions
the party
to you.
horn and make a little bit of
We can make it.
dancing
Yeah.
here.
We can't hear our thing, but we'll make it happen.
Let's start. Let's get into
Yeah, what
it.
do you wanna know?
We've got a bunch of stuff to discuss with you
So
today.
much.
One thing that I'd love to start on is the DSIT. What is
Yeah.
happening? You've been covering it relentlessly on X. You've been doing an amazing
Yep.
job. I've been singing your praise on X as much as
Yeah,
I
I
can.
didn't see
because
you. I haven't seen you since you posted that kind of the big explanation video in the Sky News studio. I thought that was really good.
That was also amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's.
How was the kind of the response from that? Because I think a lot of people were like, "This is great. This needs to happen more." That video of you explaining.
Explaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the response has been really positive from people who work in DCIT and around in government.
Good.
Because they're like, yeah, finally, this is someone's saying what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the job, right? Isn't it? Just to actually really try and explain this stuff and explain to people, well, yeah, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Because I suppose it's that on the face of it, right? You know, you see in the AI minister promoted to cabinet, seems like a promotion.
Yeah.
But it's actually, when you look at it more closely, a demotion for AI as a whole. And I think the thing that
Do you think the fact that he holds one of the first AI minister positions in the world is that does that hold any weight, or is it you still feel like it's a bit of a demotion?
I'm not sure the rest of the world cares, to
Okay.
be honest.
Okay.
I think what matters is what you can get done.
Yeah.
And I'd say definitely in the short term, this impairs the ability of the government as a whole to get things done. So to explain, right, this is a machinery of government change. Say in a normal company, if you're not happy with the performance, you change the people.
Yeah.
No, keep the people the same, move them around. And just to give you an indication, right, of how this moving around really, really works in practice. When Keir Starmer came in, he moved GDS, the Government Digital Service, into DCIT. When do you think that they finally completed that migration? I'll tell you, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
They completed
I was gonna say after he'd
They
been-
completed it a week before they were just moved again.
Yeah.
This is actually completely typical. And I can tell you what went into that migration, right? So why did it take 2 years? It's partly technical things. So for instance, GDS ran on Gmail and Google Cloud and all that business. DCIT ran on Outlook. This took absolutely forever to change over. But it's also that once you kind of reopen, once you make a move within the civil service, you open everything up for negotiation. So suddenly, the location of everyone, the size of the teams, the budget of the teams, all becomes a debate. And people really fight over this. And this takes up the most enormous amount of energy. So I would say is that right now, that probably this is what the AI minister is kind of really focusing a lot on.
Right.
He's trying to hold, I would guess, he's trying to hold ground and maintain what they've built and fight the best fight he can but his energy's inward rather than outward.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you really sort of step back and think like, well, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I think from all the reporting I've done, it's quite clear that AI is not really a big priority for the Burnham government. Mm-hmm. They don't, yeah, sure, like they think it's important, but they think it's important within the context of the stuff that they want to get done.
Yeah. Well, you saw the video that Burnham posted about AI doesn't build trains.
Very
and it's
telling,
like,
right?
Why? And there was a bunch of quote tweets basically saying, you're pushing the narrative that you want people to, to go and work in these kind of physical labor jobs. That's reindustrialization kind of thing of London, of the UK. And then a lot of people were like, why can't AI build the train? Can we not push that message?
Exactly. What I mean, honestly, is that I think sometimes people in tech get a bit kind of overreact to these things. Right?
Of course, of course.
Because actually, if you think about it, AI can't make a train.
Yeah.
And actually, is that if you care about AI in this country, then you do want more skilled technical labour. We have a real shortage of the kind of people who can fit and install data centres. Mm-hmm. Right. That would be a great thing to train. But at the same time, I did think it was quite telling, wasn't it? Because if you look at what he said at the start, he's like, AI
can do all of the, it can make a slide deck, it can do this, it can do this, but it can't do this.
Yeah, but exactly.
Yeah.
And also is that he sort of missed out the point where it's like, and it can go build an entire website by itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got no insight into that particular video.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite possible he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's
very clear.
He doesn't even realise the power of...
A lot of people don't know, right? They're interacting with these things through chatbots. They think they're kind of word creators.
Yeah, sure.
Well, they're not in the bubble, right? Like, they're not in as like, they're not sort of...
no one realised that you can go and create
online.
your own app. Pretty easy. You can literally one-shot a video game.
But I think is that in general, in his circle, my understanding is that they're like, we want to use AI to improve public services.
Sure.
But also, we're kind of a bit suspicious of big tech, and we don't really want to be kind of cooperating with them too much. And that's sort of, I'd say, the general worldview.
Yeah.
It seems to me like AI is going to pose major challenges to public services in the short term. Mm-hmm. And they will be facing this challenge. This is a bit of an overworked analogy, but a bit more like COVID, right? Mm. That you've got this exponential growth and it just keeps on coming and coming and coming.
Yeah.
And just to give you one example to kind of make it specific, the sort of thing I'm talking about. I've been doing a bit of research on this recently. You can look at the number of complaints put in to different public services. And the graphs on them all have this shape. They go vroom, vroom. Just when AI starts to be able to do things for people. At the pre-AI kind of status quo is like, I feel really annoyed, but I'm just going to moan about it. The new status quo is, I'm going to get AI to write a really, really long, angry letter to you. And
it's too easy. It's easier. Yeah.
And that is a real, and this is just the beginning. The guy who founded GDS, the Government Digital Service, right, a guy called Tom Loosemore, he said recently that he thought you should probably just scrap delay repay, the train system where you can get money back if your train is late right now. Just can it, the whole thing. Because in a very short period of time, agents...
you'll get so many people wanting to be repaid because you have an agent doing it.
Because people will actually start... The whole system works because people don't really claim it. They can't be bothered.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at a point when you can just press a button and the agent will do it all for you, then the demand will go through the roof. And our whole public services works on essentially a kind of rationing through friction.
Yeah.
So this is just one example of we haven't even talked about cyber attacks or anything like that. This is one example of the kind of thing that I think that a big change is coming to public services and they're going to find out about it. And I am a little bit concerned that they're not taking it seriously enough.
That is so, because I remember having a chat with a guy who was connected to another guy who was running an airline.
Oh, yeah.
And they said the similar thing in terms of how worried they were at how low the barrier to entry would go for people to start requesting refunds, because you can do it. I mean, right now, I do not know how I would get a refund on my flight, even if it was super delayed. I'd probably have to go to their website, my booking number perhaps, maybe a photo of my passport as well, card details, go through multiple different portals. And I'm not sure if it's been designed that way. Maybe it has, to be kind of friction full and quite long to get to my end point. But yeah, they were saying we're tracking the development in AI and specifically agents because that would be a genuine hit to the revenue.
Yeah.
Because it'd be so easy to do.
So this is already becoming a problem. So the Information Commissioner's Office, which handles freedom of information requests, has said that they're really struggling with the huge upsurge in freedom of information requests, which they think are mostly generated by AI.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm like, yeah, guilty as charged. I'm running mine with AI, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And so, and this isn't like a spam thing. It just makes it easier. It just reduces the friction. I mean, I think this is one really, really big issue that I in my conversations, in my reporting, I'm not sure that this current government has reckoned with.
So interesting. I know we're spending a lot of time on this.
Big take.
I do want to keep sparring on this, but I would love to move on to I'm not sure what we call it right now. We've had a lot more developments today with Zuckerberg's letter.
Come on.
And
are we going to call them developments?
Well, new sources of news have come out, is what I'm trying to say. But why don't we start? I would love to start with...
Let's still agree to ignore it.
Well, I want to start...
Let's have an amnesty. We all just ignore it.
So you don't like open letters. You've been very outspoken about that on X recently. The open letters, you said, I think you mentioned they need to stop.
Stop.
And the way to stop them is just ignore them.
There's an exponential growth in the development of open letters. This is really dangerous.
But like, break this down.
The graph also goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you so
they must stop.
Open letters?
Okay. So look, I'm not anti every single open letter.
Yeah.
But there are a few things that I kind of have hated about them, and to be fair, I've been hating on them for a long time. So I really dislike the way that they put people in this kind of morally superior position of calling for something to be done without actually doing it themselves. And I really dislike it when they're extremely non-specific and when they're incredibly low stakes. Because it's so easy to call for things, right?
Yeah.
But it is hard and important to do things. Mm-hmm. And while, no disrespect to all the people who signed that open letter, I know, some of them.
Do you think it was
lovely people?
Do you not think it was
sincere.
the right time for
the right time to make a really non-specific general call, which kind of means nothing? There's never a wrong time for that, because because what are they really? Because the thing is that if you read it, what are they really saying?
Yeah.
Is that it's been reported.
The main consensus is we are supporting open weights. Please don't ban.
Oh, sorry, different open letter. Sorry, I meant the open letter that came out last night about the.
Oh, fine, That's,
too many.
Well, what do you think? Oh, yeah, exactly. The amount of open letters around. But what do you think about the first kind of, the first one of this whole saga, Jensen's open letter? You think that was warranted? And I think that's useful, or would you think blanket just open letters just aren't very useful?
So that one had a kind of quite a big impact, because of who did it.
Yeah.
Because it's Jensen and NVIDIA, right? But I think in general with open letters, you can tell how kind of futile they are.
Sure.
Or how meaningless they are, if I'm honest, by who signs them. So that particular open letter, was it signed by Denny's, the fast food chain?
I'm not sure if that was fully legit.
I don't think, so it was commented on.
Yeah, or whatever it was. But more importantly, is that it was signed by OpenAI.
Yeah.
What? This is the company which famously is not open.
Yeah.
As Elon said, if they just change their name to Closed AI, then
it would make sense.
Then it would make sense.
So we're getting to a realm of game theory here, where it's like we have to be seen to be signing this letter. What happens if we're not seen signing this letter? So let's just sign it.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that
it's a status game.
The stakes are so low here, and I suppose it's that to me, tech is all about building. Like, if you don't like something, go build it. And right, so Zuckerberg, another incredible example. I'm pretty sure Meta signed that. They must have signed that open letter, right?
They signed it. Yeah.
So let's look at this guy. 2024, Zuckerberg writes his open source manifesto. Open source is the future. Mm-hmm. 2025, kills his open source program, puts billions into closed source, and starts saying, you've got to be worried about this open source stuff. 2026, he's back again. Actually, open source is the way. But I guess ultimately is that there are two things here. One is that saying stuff is incredibly low stakes. And two, look at what people are doing. revealed preference here. I'd say revealed preference here with the open source stuff says that everyone is really strongly in favor of someone else building it. But we're talking about people who could fund this stuff and build it themselves, but they're not. That just strikes me that they sort of don't necessarily take it that seriously. I will say, with the exception of Jensen Huang, who I always I think we should all take incredibly seriously. NVIDIA is a leading force in open weight AI, and he is a lobbyer on a level of which I think we've never seen. But it's in general, honestly, the open letter thing. I'm over it.
So to frame the argument, the position is essentially. It's very easy to just say that, we're on board with this. You can reap the rewards of being seen to go on board with this. What's the downside here? There is literally none, because we can't see what's going to happen. If we sign this, then nothing happens.
No downside.
But is it?
And I think you can really see that in the open letter which came out last night about pacing AI.
Yeah, the pacing frontier.
Yeah.
Walk us through your opinions on this. Hate it?
Yeah.
Pointless.
Yeah.
But do you not think it stirs a narrative? Do you not think it catalyzes a way that we can reframe how we see things and maybe kick some others into gear? I mean,
we were talking about alignment, right? Yes, fine. There's a status game. There's a bit of game theory within there of whether I sign it or not. But I think the main thing that I feel like they do is provide some form of alignment within the industry, which I think for right now is actually very useful. There is so much discourse around what's going on here, and then we mentioned right at the beginning of the show, right? There's employees of one company kind of disagreeing with the leader of their company publicly. There's all this discourse going on around with the leaders of each company. So some form of alignment, I think, does somewhat move things forward in the right direction.
Alignment on what? I think
point.
I've read the letter. Having read the letter,
Yeah.
I think that those guys are powerfully aligned.
Yeah.
On the fact that there might be a problem in the future and maybe we should do something about it.
So this is
to me that's like.
I think
that's not really.
I agree.
It's like being aligned on being like, hey, it'd be nice if the weather was nice. Not too much. So sorry, maybe I'm taking it a little bit too far, but because these are lovely people, very well-meaning and everything.
Yeah, sure.
But that particular is extremely non-specific, and also, but in particular, is the right. Let's think about this really. They're worried about the race.
Yeah.
And let's say there are two races going on. One is between kind of US and China, the geopolitical race, and one is the commercial race between OpenAI and Anthropic and the other companies.
Yeah.
Where do they have the most leverage? The commercial race, right? But their letter is about the geopolitical race. What are they calling for? They're calling for the development of technical tools to help support a pause. Who could build those tools? Who could go do it? They could. They could leave their jobs and say, right, we're going to work on these tools. And look, this might be a hopeless endeavor, but we're going to do this. We do not have a shortage of tools for inspecting AI.
Yeah. So within that, then, are you saying so people who have signed the Pacing the Frontier? I think it was last time we checked, it was around 1,200-ish signatures. Some senior people on there.
Yeah. Including didn't Dario sign it?
He did.
Dario, including Dario. We can get into that.
Let me think. Is there anything that Dario could do about the situation? No, he's just better sign the open letter. But also, and I understand is that people will say, oh yeah, it's a collective action problem, and in a collective action problem, you need to raise awareness. Come on, right? Demis has put a concrete plan out there for how you might go about inspecting frontier models in a way that works for everyone. Dario could call Demis tomorrow and say, I'm going to support your plan, and I'm going to assign this budget for it and these people to it, and we're going to build this. And he could get over his enormous beef with Sam Altman and call him too and say, Sam, look, for the betterment of mankind, I am willing to go into this, even though I know it could cause commercial harm to me. Now that is meaningful.
That would be big.
Yeah, exactly.
But my take would be that this is, yes, they can do that. We all can come up with our own theories as to why they're not doing that, because it would probably just tank their businesses, or it would be seen it would come as quite a shock to the industry, right? They're all kind of keeping everything cards close to their chest. You can't look at my homework because we're in this race together.
Yeah.
And there's a huge commercial outcome at the end of this thing, which is you have to take that into consideration as well. Does this, what you say there, like this, and we mentioned it earlier, like at Davos, I think it was Demis had said that him and Dario would be able, this is back when Dario wasn't in as much as a doom Iraq as he is right now, but they wouldn't be opposed to a shared pause, but obviously they can't do it because Musk and Sam won't. Is that future now looking potentially more likely because of things like this pacing the frontier? Is that kind of, it's pushing something towards a position where you say these things that, yes, are very true. Is it leaving them no choice but to end up in a situation like that because someone's talking about it and someone's putting it out there? Do you know what I'm saying?
I would say the revealed preference, including from the signatories of this letter, who I notice aren't leaving their jobs. They're staying working on these things. Revealed preference suggests that none of this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So what do you think will happen?
My kind of like mental model here is that people don't change when they see the light, they change when they feel the heat. Something fairly major will have to happen.
Yeah.
And at that point, somebody who we assume will be the US government will get them all in a room and say, right, we've got to sort this out. But here's the thing, right? At that point, it will be really important to come forward with fully developed plans and technical solutions, which mean that you don't have a kind of situation where you have now, where there is a system for vetting AI models, but we don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to produce very good outcomes. I think that there might be technical solutions to these problems, so let's work on them. And then Dario, work on them, open source them. And I know this might be uncomfortable commercially, but if you really care, then wouldn't you do this?
Well, so the elements of what you're saying in a way were and say what you want about Zuckerberg's, I guess, opinion piece in the WSJ, but there was a part in there where he was saying, and it's slightly connected, it's slightly not, but saying that if you are so pilled on the fact that towards the end of this race there could be a very large existential potential of crashing a market or creating something so powerful that we can't even fathom what it would be like, then why are you working on it?
Yeah.
Why are you, okay, well, if you're aware of that and you know that is like not the only end goal, but a potentially very likely one, why don't we just not go down that route and let's all maybe, he wasn't saying let's all stop and have a conversation, but there were elements of hinting at that in a way where he's saying, like, if you're so doomer about this, then why are you working on it?
Yeah.
It's a good question, isn't it? Except also, let's remember that I'm pretty sure that like a year ago he was saying that exact same thing. Yeah. I mean, it's almost like Mark Zuckerberg just sort of echoes whatever is the current mood.
And then we heard
he came in as a voice of reason type thing. He hasn't been active on X and has only come on active on X now.
Yeah.
And so it kind of felt that this was like, almost like, hey, like, let me get in the conversation, but also spread something that I think a lot of humanity would, virtually everyone wants is prosperity. And so maybe he's saying what people want to hear, but it's such a pivotal moment where what he does say, he has a lot of weight in the conversation.
Sure, but I mean,
undoubtedly.
Would it be in his economic interest?
I mean, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And the first comments were follow the money, obviously.
Yeah, let's not get twisted about this. It would be so who stands to benefit in a massive way if AI is commoditized and there aren't these big companies who basically own AI? Well, it's Jensen. It's Microsoft, who one of the first signatories of that letter, of the Jensen letter, the open source one. And I would say, to me, it looks like Facebook would also benefit.
Yeah. Well, I guess you'd say anyone who's not winning that race, or anyone who's not at the forefront of that, who is that a threat to? Probably, OpenAI and Anthropic right now, because I'd say that they're probably neck and neck as to who's in front. I don't really know who is in front, but
they could be incredibly threatening. To other companies if they owned if they owned AI and owned the customer relationship. So I agree with that. I agree with that. You mentioned Demis earlier. Sorry, guys.
This is why
this is the whole point.
This is why we're here. To be so cynical.
No. This is what.
Who would go about suggesting that these these well-meaning guys are actually motivated, by their business interests. But also is that then they're criticizing Anthropic for that exact thing.
The call-ups. Well, I think the shots are starting to be fired a little bit more. I tweeted they let the games begin. I saw Musk tweet out about we are at SpaceX. We're putting all the rare books in a library, and we will be. I can't remember what the exact word. I'm probably paraphrasing slightly, but it was something like we won't be chopping off the bookend with a big, axe or something like that.
Yes. Just on that, right? To me, what like. Because there's been this report that Anthropic and other AI companies are binning really rare books after they've scanned them.
The Panama Project.
Yeah, exactly. And Musk is like, oh, we're not going to do that. We're going to take that extra time to save them.
We're going to distill their model that has already done.
Yeah, exactly. No comment on that. But to me, what tech is about right. Let's find a solution to this problem.
Yeah.
Instead of facing these one choice which is really time consuming and the other choice which seems, so horrible, let's find some kind of solution. Rather than everyone just putting out their positions.
Yeah.
Let's actually fix it.
But that's very strategic though, right?
I know.
What are the incentives again? Very large, like any edge they can get, they will probably take. And that's why I feel like let the games begin. I'm getting word from our producer.
We're going to have to end this interview. But thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome.
We're 4 minutes over. We'll be welcoming the founder of Granola on next, actually, to talk about their new Apple Watch integration.
Right, so what happened now?
I don't know. We've never.
I'll tell you what. I'm just going to.
Wait, no. Let's play the Wii Sports music as you go out.
Thank you for coming on. The first in-person guest.
Goodbye show.
So good.
There we go.
I can move this back down.
There we go. Roland Manthorpe live on ETN in the studio, first ever live guest. We're just getting word from our producer that we need to sort some technical things out. How do we want to do this? No word.
Oof. Up next, we have Sam over at Granola. Sam's going to be, as I said, talking about the new release that they've done, Granola and Apple Watch partnering up.
Now, see, I didn't think that this was a physical Apple Watch. So I saw the video of an unboxing Granola Apple Watch, and I didn't realize that was what this was. I thought this was just an interface that kind of plugged into an Apple Watch. I assume there is an interface within there, but yeah, I'm interested to know exactly what this actually looks like from their position. There was a few comments about I'm not going to have a conversation with you if you're wearing one of these things type thing. This is like a direct. This is like a direct kind of, hey, how do we reduce this social stigma to actually building, something that. What's the word? It kind of allows AI to ingrain into your life in a very, very kind of meaningful way. I think Granola is probably a pretty interesting company to go and take that on. Yeah.
I agree with you, and it takes me to a conversation.
Well, it's why they raised so much money, right?
Well, that unlock that they did. I remember when we had them on the show.
I think it was Series C.
For sure it was. When we had them on, that was what really surprised me, and it came through on the interview with Sam. I mean, we kind of worked it out live as he was explaining it, and then we were kind of like, wait a sec. Their ability to, they can sort of, if you look at the company as a whole, everyone's using Granola, everyone's having conversations. That is the most up-to-date context that you will have in a company at any one given time. It's not a Notion doc full of the last meeting that we had and the updates. It's not this monthly run through that we just went through. It's all the conversations that the company's having in real time. That is the most recent update from the company or the
But I think internally what they're now trying to figure out is okay, how can we reduce the social stigma? And doing a partnership with, one of a very iconic company like an Apple.
Yeah.
Where they're able to integrate, they've been able to integrate into people's lives with their hardware. Okay, now let's go and partner with that company to go and do the same with the next frontier technology. So it'll be an interesting kind kind of an interesting like internal discussion that they're probably having, saying, we have everything for meeting notes, we have potentially kind of physical things on desks within meeting rooms, but how do I gain all the context that I need, whether it's something that you wear just at work, whether it's something that you wear, day to day, I don't know. I don't know, what do you think the future looks like in 5-10 years, where are people always going to be wearing kind of dictation or kind of, AI note-taking physical devices so you can always drive context through everything?
Well, I've traditionally been...
Because that's the internal conversation they'll be having. It's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced it before when you've joined a conversation or a situation with another person and they've not told you like, hey, by the way, this thing records, or hey, by the way, this thing isn't recording, or hey, giving you some suggestion where you're like, am I being recorded right now?
Is this going to be, the start of most conversations,
recorded ever?
Well, is it every conversation you go into, you saying, am I being recorded?
So
right now?
will we create a new social norm?
Will that be a social thing that they will go and create? I don't know.
Like, back in my day, we just started conversations. We didn't, we didn't have to figure out what wire you're wearing. For sure. We didn't have to work out what wire you're wearing. I am nonetheless a huge fan of Granola, huge fan of their branding, huge fan of the company in general. I think they're one of the only companies who nailed aesthetics really early. We remember the rebrand that they did. It caused quite a stir on the timeline. A lot of people initially were saying that they weren't a huge fan, but I think everyone's against change. Now, I think there was a lot of discourse around, like, on second thought, this is actually perfect. It matches the name. It matches the brand.
I don't remember the old brand.
So I really do, because my laptop has something on it that won't let it update. So I had the old...
You have the old one still?
No, now I have the new one. I have the new one now. I got it like only...
Did you change I've changed my icon to the black icon. I think it looks great.
No, I've got the OG. I've got the green on black.
The green. Nice.
Yeah. I think we're getting word that Sam's in the studio as we speak. We can go ahead and bring him onto the show. Amazing. Sam,
yes, Granola on.
Oh, Granola is on. It's on the screen right now. We can see a little thing. This is amazing branding. Look at that. Sam, welcome back to the show. It's an honor to have you here again. You have so much to update us on. What's the news? What's happening?
Good to see you guys. The big news is we launched our Apple Watch app yesterday.
Let's go.
Building, and the reception's been great. It's been really cool to see it out there.
No, so sick. The video crushed 2 million impressions put out by your co-founder. Was there a launch strategy here? Was there any sort of GTM background going on? It seemed to have, 2 million impressions. It's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest one we've ever done. There was a bunch of marketing went into this. It felt like a really good opportunity for us to, just tell a story about a thing that no one's really thought of before, like no one's really seen before, and just the fact that, we're not making hardware here, but like the fact that you can show the product out in the real world and being used by people, I think is just way more evocative, and like you can immediately imagine yourself using the thing in a way that it's kind of hard to do with desktop software. So we wanted to make the most of that.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a few questions about like how. So is this an app within the Apple Watch, or can you actually buy a physical Apple Watch that is kind of Granola branded? Because I saw a video of someone unboxing a Granola branded, I think, Apple Watch. So what's the download here? How is it actually being brought to market?
Yeah. So the real product is just an app on a regular Apple Watch. And, You can see I've got it running here on my watch.
No way, a live exclusive. Look at that.
And if you have the iPhone app and you own an Apple Watch, it should just automatically show up on your Apple Watch. The strap you saw was
super
special
nice
edition thing we got. We worked with a local weaver here in London to make, and we've sent a bunch of those out to some friends and some special people, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's super nice. So look, what's the goal for the partnership? Is this to kind of bring Granola's incredible product into everyday life? Like, what do you see the future of this look like? Because when we last had you on the show, I wouldn't have, I would have been very surprised with something like this so early, right? So like you guys are very, very early into this. I do think it will happen, but you guys are obviously at the forefront of this. Where's your mind going when you think about the partnership with a company so iconic as Apple?
I think, like for us, the big opportunity here is like we want to be as easy and frictionless and lightweight as possible to Granola all of your work conversations, and like those don't just happen over Zoom, at your desk. I do most of my one-on-ones and hiring interviews walking around the park, like around the office here, and have just not really been able to Granola them before. Like it's kind of awkward pulling out your phone and carrying your phone so that you can record it. But just for like in-person conversations, to me this feels by far and away the most natural way to do it. And that's basically it. It's like we want to, like, if you're an everyday user of Granola, we want to give you like full coverage so you can Granola like all of your conversations, and that makes the product stronger. And I think this was like a big missing piece for us.
Yeah, and cool. I'm curious how you kind of index like a privacy first type thing. How do you guys marry those worlds? Because we obviously talked last time about that kind of that element that I think you guys do an incredible job of like of pushing that, and the brand is very much like talking towards that as well. But how does this partnership kind of like lean into that as well?
Yeah, like it was a big thing on our minds. That was like, I mean, this works the same as like the iPhone app or the desktop app, but I guess just by the nature of the fact that you carry it around with you, and the watch is a very personal device. I think there's like more, it like comes to your mind more naturally to use it in more personal situations, and therefore I think like the privacy questions of that like just feel more front of mind than they would on the other platforms. We only have so much control, like as a third-party developer on an Apple Watch. I'd love more controls from Apple to do better at this. But I think the things that we stumbled on that I think feel like strike a good balance for us are like the screen is bright green, and like it obviously you have to know that this is Granola, but like this really works at like if like when we're
everyone knows you have Granola running.
Clever. Granola running. Yeah.
Very cool. When we zoom out and we look at the future of this world that Granola are now getting into, wearable devices, recording, like are we making a bet here that this is going to be an incredibly common thing in the future? Do you guys believe that this natural integration, which, as I said, like looks incredibly natural on your wrist, it seems very easy to bring into a conversation. There's always going to be some sort of like conversational opt-in if you're on a walk. Do you guys see a future in which this will just be the norm? Like, how are you thinking about how this wearable world connects with how people operate today?
Yeah, I think it's an incredibly unknown space, and I think we're kind of at the point where like one of the leaders, like trying to figure it out as we go. And like in my mind, I think we're moving towards a future where like most work conversations are transcribed by default, and that will be the assumption. There's just so much upside in like it's the key that gives AI access to understand what's happening and therefore be helpful around a conversation. Without the transcript, it's kind of useless. There are obviously like a bunch of risks or downside, like potential downsides there, and it's like our job it's the job of companies like us to help navigate that and help people give people the tools and help them make the right default decisions there. Granola deliberately doesn't record audio, for example. I think because to us that just feels more invasive than a raw transcript, and we're looking at a bunch of different ways at the moment of like how we could kind of like be even more proactive in just taking the information that AI needs to do its job without kind of ideally keeping as little on record as possible. Like it's not in our interest to have like an archive of absolutely everything. It's just enough for the AI to be useful and help you move your work forward.
Yeah, 100%. What's the what was it like working with the Apple kind of like partnerships team on this? But how are they thinking about wearables and integrating in AI into kind of everyday life?
Yeah, I mean, you saw from WWDC, they're like, they have a lot of new AI stuff out, and
Yeah.
specifically for the watch, and it does feel like it's like finally getting there as a AI, really AI forward product. Yeah, they've been super responsive and like really helpful to us, and I think are really keen to push all the AI features of the watch, like through their own stuff, but also third-party stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. I'm a consumer. Can I get my Apple Watch and can I start using this today? Like, what's the rollout looking like, or it's live?
It's live. It's live for everyone. Yeah. So if you have an iPhone and an Apple Watch, download the iPhone app from the App Store, and it should just pop up on your watch automatically. You shouldn't need to do anything on the watch. I think you just click on the app and hit go, and off it goes.
So sick.
Yeah.
What like internally, what were the conversations that led up to this moment? I assume it wasn't just, or maybe it was, one day you were like, guys, Apple Watch, obviously this makes sense. How did you come to this decision?
Yeah, this has happened a few times in the history of the company where like it was a thing that we thought, yeah, this would be cool, like for a while, for like a couple of years at this point. And it took Tom, one of our iOS engineers, to go rogue a little bit and like build a hacky first version that we could all start playing with, and for us to kind of wake up and be like, oh shit, this is a this is kind of a big deal. It's just clearly better than the mobile for a lot of use cases. So yeah, like we used his internal build for like a week or two, and then I think we were all kind of sold that this was the thing we should invest a lot into.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. A temperature check from when we last spoke. It was obviously the day that you'd raised. How have things been since then? How are things looking in the future? That was around the time, or maybe slightly earlier, that you guys had started to take on the US. Yeah, walk us through what's going on at Granola. How's it been since then? What's the next 6 months looking like?
Things are going good. The team's grown a bunch. The sales team particularly has grown a bunch. Like we were, I think, just starting a San Francisco office when we last spoke, and there's now 20 of us there. And therefore, like our ability to work with bigger and bigger enterprises has just gone up and up, and we have a bunch of much bigger companies working with us now, which is really, really nice. Cool to see. Yeah, and I don't know, usage continues to be good and up and to the right. Like product really retentive. We're like working on trying to like evolve Granola into what comes next after Notes at the moment. We launched a feature called follow-up emails recently, which drafts emails that are really close to your voice, and like to help you follow up with customers faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. Like they're the first AI written emails that I actually send to people. So we have a bunch more things like that in the works, and that's a big focus for us over the summer.
Yeah, because you're like, the main thing after the raise was, hey, like I think we can build the company OS, right? Like everything can kind of feed through Granola. How far do you feel like you guys are, do you feel like you guys are close to that? You obviously mentioned that all of these kind of product rollouts kind of get you steps there, but is this years away, or do you feel like it's closer?
I mean, I think where we're at today is like the most forward-looking AI-pilled companies out there use Granola, and Granola plugs into all their systems and is like the context ingestion machine to enable those systems. Our API and MCP, which I think we're probably pretty new, and we last spoke, are getting a lot of usage at the moment, and that's all from companies plugging Granola into their internal tooling. So yeah, I think basically we're at like the AI early adopter companies are getting there themselves right now, and like we have a gap to close in making that more accessible for like your average company. Make it more accessible to the average company.
And then with the API access, where do you feel, or I'm sure you can see with the data, but where do you see like most of the usage come from? Is it like plugging it into a CRM, or like where do you find the most tools are being like plugged into with Granola? Yeah,
people like it's CRMs. We have a bunch of CRM integrations, but it's kind of like the long tail of all the ones we don't support. Lots of things like turning Granola notes into action items and updating linear tickets or Jira tickets or like different systems of record.
Sure.
people write like reports on what's happening in sales this week or what's happening on the product teams this week, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then I think there's a lot of individuals hacking experiments that don't see the light of day, but there's just like so much experimentation happening at the moment. Yeah, we see a lot of random usage like that it's hard to explain, but I think it's that.
Yeah. And I think we should get your kind of take on this kind of open source debate. We've been talking about it a lot, obviously, on the show. But how are you guys thinking about it at Granola with like open source, closed source models? Like, do you feel like there's there's obviously a shift towards open source models, but yeah, how are you guys feeling internally about it?
Yeah, I mean, our thinking hasn't really changed. Like, I think we obviously don't make models ourselves. We build the wrap around the models, and so it's just in our interest to be on the best models at any given time for the job. And we use models from all of the like there's Anthropic and OpenAI and Google models like in Granola in different places at the moment, and that changes as different ones come out and get better. So we basically are just always scouting for what's the best new models for our use cases, and I think we'd follow wherever was best there, like whether that's an Anthropic or whether that's open models hosted on somebody else's info.
Very cool. A final question as we wrap up. I have to ask, design and the aesthetics of the brand is something that I think you guys continue to smash. It's always been something quite close to you, and I know that you are a designer to this day. What is it, do you think, that you guys have kept within, like, when you were first starting all the way up until now? There seems to be like a recurring, it's almost like a nice organic feel to the branding, to the design, to the communications. Is that purposeful? Is this something that's close to your heart? Would love to get your take.
Yeah, I think thank you for saying that. It's good. It's nice to hear. And I think it's probably two things. Like, one, I think the brand is very deliberately designed to feel quite organic and a little messy, but like that, I think that's just, it's designed to be a reflection of real work and
you've nailed that.
Too many SaaS companies trying to gloss over and pretend that everything's nicely connected and working well together, and this is not real life. So that's the design part of it. I think the other part is just like we all try and encourage each other to have fun with this, and like we're in a very lucky position to get to put out shit that we're proud of, and like and the best stuff we do comes from people kind of doing stuff that feels more like play, more so than what they have to be doing, what they should be doing. The watch strap, I think, is a great example of that. That was like a couple people on the team just got this idea and was like, fuck yeah, I want to do that, and so they went and chased after it, and I want to continue making space for things like that to happen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you guys need to maybe start like a little merch store or something.
Well, I want the spoons. I would love granola spoons in this studio. We will show them off on the show. I'll do anything I can to get a granola spoon. Yeah. I need one in my life.
Desperate for a spoon.
Yeah, I am. But yeah, we're 1 minute over. Sam, we'll let you get back to your busy day. I'm sure you've got a lot of orders to process. Congratulations on the launch, and good chatting again.
Thanks so much, guys.
Good stuff.
Nice one, Sam.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Congrats to Granola for their successful launch. Are you doing a pre-dance to the Wii Sports music? It looks like you are. Boy, golly, he was.
This is so good. Let's get our next guest on. Pavel is coming on.
Next.
Do we have Mike or Pavel?
Mike is next. Pavel is after Mike.
Okay, let's do this. Is he in the?
I think he's coming live right now. Soon.
We are getting Mike in the studio.
He'll be joining.
Here we go.
Shortly. Here he is. Mike, how are we? Welcome to the European Technology Network. It's a pleasure to have you on for the first time ever.
Pleasure to be here. How's the first day going?
Yeah, good. It's been a good start to the day. We've been live since 12, so we're about hour 47 into
our first in-person guest in the studio, which was very, very nice.
Where's the studio?
We are Caledonian Road, just about 10 minutes off from King's Cross. We thought let's try and get it nice and close to that AI hub,
A great location.
Yeah. Mike, for those who don't know you, would love to get an introduction. What are you building right now? What's the role? What's the focus? We mentioned your incredible background as well of the work you've been doing previously. So yeah, would love to hear the full story, the start to right today.
Yeah, well, I'm building this thing called Morse, which is like a global stablecoin neobank. We want to connect everyone in the world to a global instant financial system. Been doing this for a few years. Before that, I was at Monzo, where I was Chief Product and Technology Officer at Deliveroo before that. And then I was at Facebook for a long time before that.
Mm-hmm.
Stellar lineup.
Like high level, tell us, the mission of Morse, I kind of read on the internet, it's the app that makes sending money feel like a text. What does that actually mean? What are the back, what's the back end of that? And how are you guys making that possible?
Well, it's even more than that now. I mean, we have salaried people all over the world.
That's our celebration.
We have people all over the world getting their salaries deposited in. And yes, we make it like instant and nearly free to send money from anywhere to anywhere, from the Netherlands to Kenya, Kenya to Mexico, Mexico to New York, whatever. Mm-hmm. But we also, wherever you live, you can get your salary, you can invest in the US stock market, you can get yield on the US dollar, the whole thing. It's all built on Solana with really high quality US dollar stable coins. The way I describe this is that like stable coins and blockchains have digitized money. It like brought them into the internet age in a way that just wasn't possible before. Previously, all money was in like separate databases all over the world. Monzo has one, Wise has one, HSBC has one. With stablecoins and blockchains, everybody's on the same database, and so money can just move, instantly and freely, person to person, business to business.
Do you feel like the space is accelerating when you look back when you started, or even from days at Monzo? There must be similarities from like how did that landscape look? Maybe you were curious about it back then, but
when we started this company, everybody thought we were nuts. Like everybody at Monzo thought we were fucking crazy. Everybody was like, "What are you doing?" And when we started, it was impossible to get Rails anywhere. Like nothing worked. Nobody would talk to you. Everybody thought we were crazy. And actually, within a couple months of starting the business, USDC on Circle depegged, Silicon Valley Bank went under, and there were like 4 or 5 of us, and we sat in a room and looked at each other and said, the whole thing that we're building is based on this infrastructure that seems like it's crumbling. Are we going to keep going or not? And, we decided we had enough conviction we were going to keep going. And now it's like, just normal. Like everybody believes that this is the future of how money is going to work. And for a long time, people didn't believe that at all. It felt like we were the only people who believed that, which I think is how a startup is supposed to work.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Is there I think, so we obviously talked to a lot of people building a kind of stablecoin industry. And some of them say kind of the stablecoin industry is the future of finance and how money moves, full stop. And then some people say that fiat currency it still has a place. Like, what's your kind of view on that? Where do you feel like this industry is moving? 10 years, 50 years, kind of plus. Like, where do you feel like it's going to go?
Look, I think it's inevitable. I think it's a better, faster, easier technology in many ways. There are a lot of really hard problems that you need to solve along the way. But I think you'd be crazy now to start working with fiat. Like, of course, you're going to start working with stablecoins. And I think that all of the banks, I had so many conversations with people at, PayPal and Wise and Monzo and Revolut and all these people a few years ago where they were like, no, we don't need this thing. And they're all building with it now. And I think it's inevitable that in like 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, everything is going to be tokenized. Some things are going to be tokenized deposits. Some things are going to be stable coins. It's not going to matter. They're all going to be truly digital goods that move around representing money.
Yeah. Sure. How is AI specifically kind of changing what you guys are doing? I'm seeing the world start to collide. A lot of the conversations that we've had, typically, if we're talking about like crypto in general, and an agentic commercial future, it seems to be, okay, we need something frictionless, we need something instant, we need something decentralized. One could suggest that those worlds marry together quite well. If agents are, doing commerce with agents. They can't use a traditional currency. They have to use something like this. And we know Stripe's doing a lot of work. They're quite excited about that future. How is this, shaping how you guys are moving? Has it changed anything?
Well, there are two things. One is our entire engineering team. We've all built banks before. We've been doing this for a really long time. Like our team, we have people from, the very early days of Cash App, the very early days of Monzo, the people who built the ledger. We're using AI obviously to build a lot faster. And just in the last 6 months, we've shipped, investments, cards. We're about to ship yield. There are all of these things that, our roadmap has just accelerated incredibly. We have one engineer per feature now, and it's crazy how fast you can move. And we're doing that with quality. Like we have a 4.8 star rating in the App Store in our core markets. So we're like moving incredibly fast, shipping incredibly fast, but doing it in a way that customers love it and it feels good in the hand. So that's one thing. AI obviously has accelerated everything tremendously. I have agents doing shopping for me. I have my own kind of OpenClaw thing that I built on top of Claude, and that agent has a debit card that is tied to my Morse wallet and can spend, really well with that debit card. There are very few places at the moment where you can pay for an API with stable coins or anything like that. I did get my agent. My agent books my travel, and I use Duffel for that. And the founder Duffel's a friend, and we talked about using stable coins for that transaction. But the reality is that most of that isn't there yet. But it inevitably will be in a year or two. We're going to be looking back, and machines are obviously going to be paying machines for things routinely, and it only makes sense to use stablecoins for that. Of course you would.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
What are the main kind of bottlenecks that you guys are facing at the moment? It sounds like everything is getting streamlined. You just mentioned that you have kind of one engineer on one product vertical, which is nuts in itself. What are those main bottlenecks that you guys feel that yes, everything else is being streamlined really quickly, but there's still things that need to be kind of sorted out on some of the other side of the business?
Yeah, the truth is that everything is pretty quick now. A lot of the infrastructure has been built. All of our FX is automated now. We actually have 8 automated agents, AI agents going out and moving money between countries and currencies, rebalancing our treasury. If you had asked me a year ago or a year and a half ago, I would have said, the lagging bit is regulation. And that is still true in the UK, but it's not really true anywhere else anymore. All of the regulators have largely caught up. The infrastructure has caught up. And so it really feels like a pretty green field at the moment. I think the UK will probably catch up over the next few months, hopefully. There are very few impediments. When you build a thing like this, there's a lot of other work that you have to do around financial crime, transaction monitoring, all of that infrastructure as well, which again, we've been able to build pretty deeply and automate as much of that as you can. So it feels like a wide open runway now. It feels like everything is mature.
Sorry. I know we've got about 4 minutes left. I'd love to ask, you've worked at some insane companies. Things have changed so much since the early days of Facebook, towards the start of the career. What are some of the lessons you've learned at some of these larger companies that maybe a listener could hear? I imagine at each time there's probably been quite a large step change in how you were even doing your role as an individual. How has that sort of transition looked over the course period? Because tech looks looks very different even to last week compared to this week.
For sure,
things are accelerating very quickly. Yeah.
Look, the most important thing that I learned at Facebook was we measured absolutely everything, and we set incredibly ambitious goals, and then we gave teams a lot of freedom in order to figure out how to execute against those goals. And we used the metrics, everything that we were tracking in order to know whether or not we were doing the right thing or not, whether or not users liked it, whether or not we were driving engagement or revenue or whatever it was that we were trying to. That has not changed. It is the single most important thing. You set an ambitious goal, you figure out how to measure it, and then you give teams a lot of autonomy to go and figure out how to get there. And increasingly, those teams are kind of now they're mergers of, if we were having this conversation a few years ago, I would say, well, you have a product manager, a designer, an engineering lead, and 4 or 5 engineers on that team doing that. And now it might be 1 person or 1.5 people and 7 agents, but the principle is exactly the same. And I think it's really important as soon as you get to any kind of scale that you're running constant experiments and you're testing whether or not your assumptions about the way the world works and what your users want are correct. And so, you put it out there and you see whether or not you get a statistically significant result and you move forward positively if yes, if not, you reevaluate your priors. That's very basic. And then you have to have the overarching bit of like, what is your vision and what is the thing that you are trying to achieve that guides all of those bets and all of those guesses that you make along the way. That is just as true today as it was 10 years ago. It's just that you can do that faster and better today with fewer people than you could 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah. I know we're coming up towards the end. We have about 2 minutes left. We'd love to just sit back for you guys the next 6 months. What are you excited about? What do you have coming up that you're really pumped about?
And growth. Like that's it.
Let's go.
And it's all about like rounding out the feature set. So we have a couple more things that we want to ship. We're going to ship bill pay really soon. Really beautiful yield products. With that, it's just about growth. It's our users are happy. They're telling their friends. They're telling us that they want to tell more friends. And it's just giving them the ability to do that as well as possible, and just making the line go up and to the right. Like, that is the thing that matters.
Go time.
Love to hear that. Where can we send people if there are people that we can point? Where can we send them to?
Morsemoney.com.
Morsemoney.com.
Go to morsemoney.com.
You heard it here first.
Thanks so much, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Great
Anytime.
to see you guys. Congratulations on the raise.
Thank you,
Appreciate
dude.
it.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.
Cheers, dude.
See you. Bye-bye.
What a legend.
What
That's Mike.
a legend.
For sure.
Absolute ledge. Next on the show, we've got Pavel.
I missed a for sure
coming.
Opportunity there, by the way.
To drop a for sure. There's a nice
ready to
little
go.
tune in the back of that as well.
I was ready to go.
We've got Pavel coming on next from, I'm trying to work out specifically how to pronounce this. I think we've done a pretty good job so far it's Zuri Q, but Zurich. Like I'm thinking it's just Zurich.
Zurich.
But it's
They
capitalized the
They
Q.
spun out of ETH Zurich. They raised $25 million seed. Obviously, a Swiss startup. They've developed a new architecture for quantum chips that will enable rapid scaling. We need to know exactly like. I've got a bunch of questions about like the actual infrastructure and how they, what this new architecture is. I was trying to understand it, but I want to kind of like hear it simply from Pavel. But their thesis is that quantum computing race wasn't won by companies that left lab first. It'll be won by the ones that picked the right architecture from the start.
Yeah.
That is their core thesis. It'll be interesting to understand like exactly like what that means and what they're doing for the kind of quantum industry and vertical. So we shall have a
whilst
good
we
time.
wait, I want to tell you about our friends over there at Hex. It's the AI analytics platform where trust meets insight. Hex helps teams of all sizes by giving teammates the ability to get insights from their data. Go to hex.tech to get all that lovely stuff that they're doing over there.
We're good to go?
You know what? While we're at it, I want to tell you about our friends over there at MetaView. The AI agents for winning teams, the agentic recruitment platform built for radically efficient hiring, end-to-end, source, engage, and hire better with agents that truly get your brief. Go to metaview.ai to do all of that lovely stuff. As we say, next guest is coming in with a banger. It's coming in with a lot of cash, 25 M's.
I think we're waiting for a little bit. Should we just quickly debrief on the Roland conversation?
Yeah. Let's do it.
What's your take?
Oh, right. I mean, like a very, well, it's based off follow the money, follow the incentives. Roland isn't someone who supports showmanship. And I think a lot of his takes are pretty bang on, He makes complete sense.
I think sometimes the discourse is just not that justified sometimes.
don't judge someone by what they say. Judge someone by what they do.
By their actions.
Right? It's like they have the tools. They have what's necessary. Like, yes, I guess we can all flock together and sing Kumbaya around an open letter and sign it. I personally do believe that it is a good step forward. It's a good catalyst to drive conversations around those topics, and then hope that there is.
Look what it's done for open weight models, right? It's been a catalyst for that conversation, and I think conversation creates narrative, and narrative creates action.
That was Fable. That was Fable Recall. The heat, not the light. Kind of what he's saying. Ooh. Yeah, I know. As I was thinking about that, I was like, that sounds great.
I think we have someone in the studio
coming into the door. We've got Pavel coming in live off the back of 25 million seed round. Pavel, how are we? Welcome to the European Technology Network. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, likewise. Very happy to be here.
No, that's our tune. You like the tune?
Great tune.
Dude, so exciting. Thanks for making time for us as well. I can't imagine how busy you are with the announcement. Do you want to maybe give us an intro to who you are? And also, I've been saying Zurich for the name. Is it Zurich Q? That would be great to clear up as well.
Yeah, it's Zurich Q. That's the way we prefer it.
Yep. Okay.
Congrats on the raise, by the way. That's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Can you maybe tell us what have you raised? We'd love to hear it from you.
Perfect. So this is a seed round of $25.5 million.
Let's go.
It's led by Quantum Nation, which is the first quantum dedicated VC fund in the world. So really good validation from experts in this domain. And the reason we raised this round is really to innovate in the space of quantum computing hardware, specifically at the architectural level. So I myself, I'm a quantum physicist, 10 years of experience really doing hardcore research. And we spent a bit more longer in the lab than maybe the first wave of startups that tried to go commercial already 5-6 years ago, because we thought that, let's say, the architectures that they started with were not quite there yet. And think this is going to pay off in the long run, because our vision is to build an architecture that's imminently more scalable. To give you an idea of why, it's because the way the qubits grow in our, let's say, competitors' architectures is often quite linear. So what they started with was these vectors or strings of ions, where your qubit count grows a bit slowly. The way to massively increase the count is to actually go into 2D, build large arrays. And this is exactly what our architectural innovation is all about.
Really cool.
Okay, this is like when you were at the beginning of the journey, how did it feel to kind of make that bet and say, hey, look, we are going to spend, more time in the lab. We're going to let the other, our competitors leave and go and commercialize and go and grab the customers that they want to go and grab. But, we are confident in ourselves and the company and the idea and our technical ability to go and, get to this breakthrough. And then when we're only ready to leave the lab is when we go and commercialize and, take market share. How did that feel to I don't know, have yourself, kind of back that and back that idea?
Well, I think it puts us in a position where we need to catch up rapidly. Yeah. But the confidence is that this is exactly where our strength lies in the fact that we can actually set ourselves a much steeper trajectory in terms of how much we can grow the array size compared to what the architectures of other companies enable them to do. Yeah. So, of course, you have that, urge, that kind of excitement of, I want to go out there as soon as possible with the innovation. But sometimes you want to actually refine it a bit and think through the details, and only then get yourself out there. So I think that definitely always a balancing act, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys are you guys doing pilots? Like, how does that kind of work in terms of like the knowing that the commercial side will work and will scale when you do finally kind of go fully out into kind of commercialization?
Yeah, well, I think the important thing about commercialization is that you need to first set yourself on a convincing technological path to reach a device that can really drive utility applications at scale, right? To really bring in that commercial value. And for that, I think every company recognizes that we need to keep increasing this performance, right? We don't yet have this quantum equivalent of Moore's law. So you can think of it as we haven't yet identified the perfect quantum equivalent of a transistor, right? And so what we're saying is, look, look at Syracuse, we might be the ones who have that idea. Now we raise this cash to build in the demonstrators, the prototype machines that take the innovation we have, and then actually build it into a much more powerful machine.
Yeah, with quantum computing in general, we've had a number of guests on the show to discuss, what they're building in this space. But it seemed like there was a lot more limelight coming onto the space recently, as opposed to the last sort of 2.5 years. I don't know whether that's just because I'm not from the space. Like, I get you've probably been building this for a while. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's a lot more attention on quantum computing in general?
It's because I would like to maybe draw an analogy to the classical compute space. So the first digital programmable classical computer was built in the 40s, like 1947. And that was an important milestone because it showed they could be done. But for it to be done scalably, it took maybe another 20 years to innovate on the transistor level before this Moore's law kicked in. Right. So I think the reason quantum is getting so much attention is because companies proved they can be done. We do have quantum computers today available commercially. And now the question turns to, okay, we know it can be done, but who can scale it up and build it out to a really big scale utility machine that you can push out into customers? And that's why there's so much investor interest now.
Yeah, and then opportunity-wise, what are people underestimating how big this could be? Are people how big can your outcome be? How big will quantum computing be for the space?
I think it's very interesting because to me, it's a novel way of doing computing. The same way classical computing was a completely novel way compared to punch cards or moving beads on an abacus, which are also computational tools. And back then, in the 40s, the first thing we could think of the computer was, let's calculate trajectories of artillery shells. Mm-hmm. Nobody thought of the internet or Facebook, video games, etc. And so we're still only at the infancy of trying to discover what quantum computing can do. So I think the potential is absolutely huge. And we need to also work on the application side. And this is where I'm very excited to see the progress of other colleagues in the field who work on the quantum algorithms and applications, developing new means to use this hardware that we're building at Syracuse.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What happens when quantum computers kind of start modeling physics that humans can't necessarily model or work on or even understand? I feel like that is a possibility. Is that not?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting question. I think we're already kind of getting to that point where a lot of times when we do computation on computers, on let's say classical computers, we use kind of approximations and then we get an answer and we have no way to validate if it's true, right? So maybe it says, maybe you should try this molecule. And the only way to do it is to spend a lot of money in I don't know, trials and in chemistry labs to see if this actually works.
Yeah.
But with quantum computers, I would say that the big added value is that when you do these calculations, you're actually solving the equations of physics as they are. And so you should also get higher accuracy, higher trust in your results. And I think that's already getting to this point that quantum computing does actually give you different results, a different level of understanding to just doing things with classical means or even with AI means.
Yeah. A bit more on the raise. You guys have raised this money. It was announced yesterday, I think, if that's correct. What is the plan with the cash? How are you going to deploy it? Are you expanding the team? Is it into research? What's the plan?
No, I think there's kind of a three-pronged approach. Of course, growing the team is essential. We want to attract the best talent. It's, of course, a big competition. Talent is scarce. We need physics PhDs. We need engineering roles. We need software roles to improve these machines. We need to use some of it to actually build these large-scale demonstrators. It's hardware. We need to deploy some CapEx. And then, of course, the R&D needs to also occur with our partners. And here I would like to highlight the partnership we have with Infineon, so a large semiconductor fabrication in Europe, and really crucial partner because it's also a validation of the fact that our architecture can actually be produced already, not in some bespoke university lab, but rather with a serious partner who can work with us on these chips. So this, of course, will be another deployment of the cash towards that direction to build bigger and bigger chips with more qubits.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
With that relationship, then, how is are you guys sort of integrating AI into every single thing that you're doing internally? Is there a way that which these worlds collide in a really beautiful way? Is it threatening to what you do? Is it complementary? What are how do they kind of position themselves against each other?
Yeah, of course, there's diverging views here, and then maybe some people argue that AI can cannibalize a small portion of the use cases, but I think there's a strong argument on a kind of information theoretic level that there are certain classes of problems where quantum, let's say, can be provably better. What stands to then be proven is it practically better? And I think this is exactly where the maturity of the hardware is going to determine, how quickly these problems go from, let's say, test cases in research labs to really commercial deployment. So that there's definitely a lot to do in terms of racing with AI to some degree to deploy. On the other hand, I think AI is also massively accelerating the development of quantum computers. For example, being able to more effectively compile the quantum circuits into as few as possible operations. This all greatly enhances the quality of the output of the quantum computer. We really as a team use AI a lot in the aspects of our daily operations to improve our design workflows, accelerate how quickly we can produce innovations.
So are you saying? Sorry to cut you off. The hardware, like the foundations of the industry, is perhaps has not been getting as much attention as AI has, so is slightly behind compared to AI. But you're saying very optimistic about the point in which that foundational hardware catches up to a level that AI is at today.
Exactly. I think you have to look at it this way, right? If you were the smart investor, you were the person betting on NVIDIA in 2017 and 18 and not in 2022, right? And I think with quantum, it's similar, right? We're always thinking, how close are we to that little ChatGPT moment? And, I don't have my magic ball here. I don't want to give you a date or a number, but I think it's a lot closer than some think, especially the kind of skeptics in the room. And the best thing is to use this race, use this momentum, and try as many valid and useful approaches. And this is exactly why we're coming on the market now, because we think we have something very unique, very technically differentiated, and not just trying to build what others are doing and saying, look, we'll out-execute them, because that's not a recipe to succeed out of Switzerland,
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys can take a look on the market now. You're commercializing. This is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really cool. Absolutely. No better place to be.
As we close out on the interview, where can we point people? You mentioned that you're hiring. Any specific roles you have in mind?
Look, if you know anything about quantum error correction, come to me. I know it's a role in hot demand, but we will be growing the team. So physicists, engineers, Zurich.com/team. Have a look there. Willing to chat with anyone.
Amazing.
Let's go.
Amazing. I don't personally, but I'm hoping some of the viewers do, and we can make it happen. Pavel, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on the round as well.
Great to meet you.
Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Have a great day.
Ciao.
Thank you.
That was Pavel, 25 million seed round. Zori Q coming into the quantum space.
Nice little cha-ching
we've got Andreas Helbig, partner at Atomico, longtime friend of the show, coming into the show. That is at 2:40. That is in around 15, 20 minutes.
Let's dive back in. We were talking about actually let's do the Bezos list. This was super interesting.
Well, before we do that, I want to tell everyone about our friends over there at Base. Base is the infrastructure of the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org to get a hold of all that good stuff over there. Sorry, you mentioned the news.
Pirate Wires, my bad. The Bezos list, the 20 people ranked by wealth created for others. Jeff Bezos suggested making a list of the world's top founders based on the wealth they created. They've generated for humanity. Here it is.
Let's go from. Can
we just appreciate the artwork on this article again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Let's get this in the studio.
Very nice indeed. Well, we can just stay up top on that page as we list off. We're going to start at number 10. We'll work our way backwards from the list, but essentially it's who has created the most value or attaching a financial value onto that for others. It's kind of a reverse thing.
Have you read this yet?
No, first time I've ever seen it.
Guess the first one.
Oh, I know who the first one is. Sorry, I've seen the first one. Yeah.
Okay, guess the second one.
I've seen the fourth one. It's Roland Manthorpe at Sky News. Shout out to Roland. I know the first one. I think I know the second one as well.
Wait, have you read it or no?
I've seen. I think I've seen the top two.
Okay, so you've seen it.
I've seen the top
okay,
two.
fine.
I've seen the
All
top
right.
two.
Number one. Put in the comments if you haven't seen any of the screens who you think it might be now.
We're starting at number 10 first. Number 10 is Lee Byung-chul, Samsung Electronics. 1.07 trillion of wealth created for others. Samsung Electronics.
This is interesting because now memory stocks are absolutely, well, they're kind of now tanking a little bit.
Tanking.
But, rewind
South
3
Koreans
weeks
are getting
ago.
margin calls.
Rewind 3 weeks ago. Samsung had to pay out I think it was hundreds of millions to their workers.
Yeah, they were on strike.
The strikes and everyone else kind of petitioning for it. They actually got an incredible payout, and some were made millionaires off the back of their strikes and saying, hey, look, like we want a percentage of the profits. So Samsung kind of had to cough up. So surprised. This man is actually not higher on the list now, compared to that.
Well, we can look into how they define value specifically. I don't think it is, I've sent you some money.
Okay.
I think there's maybe other variables at play. But we're not going to describe, but we're going to just list off 10 to 5. And then I think last 5, let's go through the buyers as well. But number 9 is Ward Parkinson, Joe Parkinson, Dennis Wilson, and Doug Pittman over there at Micron. 1.10 trillion of wealth created for others. Micron was created in 1978. It's a semiconductor designer. Again, we're coming into this recent craze, which we've seen has had a little bit of a cool off recently. I think SK is down 50% from the all-time highs. SanDisk is also down 50% from the all-time highs. Number 8 is the Zuck over at Meta, 1.47 trillion of wealth created for others.
It's killing it. Let's go.
Number 7 is Mr. Musk, Tesla and SpaceX, 2.03 trillion of wealth created for others.
Now I'm surprised how they're calculating this because I would have thought. So let's just read the Elon Musk one quickly. According to a June 2026 Schedule 13GA, he owns 699.6 million Tesla shares and another 423.7 million performance-based shares that remain subject to performance conditions and a voting agreement. Tesla's full capitalization is approximately 1.56 trillion and has raised 30 billion of primary equity, which we subtracted, yielding 1.09 trillion. Okay, so that's the first bit. Then on June 12th, SpaceX notched the largest IPO in history, raising 85.7 billion, roughly 12 billion in private rounds. Musk holds 42% of that company, leaving $940 billion in wealth creation on the SpaceX side. Okay, so that's the next bit. Tesla's listed market cap on Google Finance didn't incorporate subsequent changes to their most recent Form 10Q share count. Blah, blah, blah. We multiplied the resulting count of approximately 3.946 billion shares for its 396.18 July 14th closing price to produce the $1.56 trillion market cap. Okay, that's
a lot of cash.
That is a lot of cash.
A lot of winners.
I was confused why he was so far down in the list, considering he's just had the biggest IPO in history. I guess that explains it.
A couple of them. But number 6, Morris Chang, TSMC, seems to be all of the memory stock chip companies that have had recent tears. I think half of these probably wouldn't be on this list if we went back to last year. But let's start from top 5 people on Earth that have created the most wealth for others. Number 5 on the list Number 5 on the list is Jeff Bezos at Amazon, 2.43 trillion of wealth created for others. Amazon's 2026 filings show Bezos in possession of about 8.8% of, or 234 billion of his 2.66 trillion company. And Amazon famously reached scale on almost no primary equity whatsoever. So that's number 5. Number 4 is Bill Gates and Paul Allen, Microsoft, 2.83 trillion of wealth created for others. I wonder if they'd include his philanthropic endeavors as well with the Gates Foundation, but this seems to be
I don't think so. More just
specifically tied
company
to
related.
wealth creation, which is interesting. Number 3 on the list is Larry Page and Sergey Brin from
Let him cook.
Google.
I said, let him cook.
3.78 trillion of wealth created for others. Together, Page and Brin hold an estimated 12.3% of Alphabet's economic value combined, which totals to about 536 billion of the 4.36 trillion company. Number 3 on the list is Larry Page, Sergey Brin. Number 2 is the late Steve Jobs from Apple. Yeah, one out for him. One out for Steve.
He deserves it. He deserves
4.62
it.
trillion of wealth created for others. Jobs sold all but one of his share of his 11% stake in Apple for roughly 70 million after departing the company in 1985, and his family's current position is not publicly disclosed. Assuming that position is negligible, the Jobs share of Apple's current value is the equivalent of a rounding error. Apple's 1980 IPO raised only 100 million in primary capital, so very little is subtracted from the market cap. This ranking doesn't even account for the wealth created for vendors by building on the App Store as well, or innovation spillovers
man.
like
He would
consumer
be-
grade, touchscreen technology, and phone scale Face ID with structured lighting and depth sensing. So Steve, you know, he could have been number one.
He
could
was
have been number one.
he was knocking on the door of number
Yeah,
one.
he was knocking.
Let's have a nice little drum roll for number 1.
Number 1 is Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, 4.95 trillion of wealth created
Let's
for
go.
others. Let's give it up for wealth
on.
created for others, everybody.
We're crazy.
Who doesn't like wealth?
They
Who
love
doesn't
wealth
like
creation
Who doesn't
for
like wealth
others.
in her? NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world at 5.13 trillion, and Huang has holds just 3.58%. That's what he holds, or 184 billion of it. NVIDIA raised a mere 60 million in venture funding and IPO proceeds combined, meaning that NVIDIA's value is almost entirely wealth created for other people.
Let's go. What a
You
beast.
love to see
What
it. You
a
absolutely love to
beast.
see it. Let me tell you about what we've got next on the docket in terms of the news. But before I do that, let me tell you about AirWallex. AirWallex, leave outdated business banking behind with AirWallex. It's the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-country accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com, check those guys out. They're doing great work. Next on the docket, we've got Apple back in the news. They are leasing... They're launching product leasing through Klarna.
This is interesting. I think this is really, really cool. And to be fair, I'm surprised this hasn't actually been... I haven't seen anything about this on the timeline before this even happened, because obviously there was a lot of talk, 3 weeks ago, maybe longer, probably longer actually, about how Apple products are going to have to get more expensive because buying physical hardware, the memory for them, everything else is just getting far more expensive, right? And this is a direct play for that. They had the Apple upgrade program, which now allows customers to return, upgrade, or buy the device at the end of the agreement. Previously, now I think it says it in the article, but previously it had where you could, you would buy maybe an iPhone 17, probably $50-ish for 2 years, and then you would buy it at the end of that agreement. Mm-hmm. You would just own it at the end of that 2-year agreement. Mm-hmm. Now you spend less per month, and then you buy the same device in a one-time fee at the end of that, or you can upgrade, or you can go again with a different device or get rid of it. So let's just dive in. Apple launched a new product design leasing program with Klarna. Congrats to Klarna, well done. We love Klarna, big up them. that will allow customers to pay monthly for new devices and then return, upgrade, or buy them. The program dubbed Apple Upgrade will offer 12 and 24-month leasing options for iPhone and Apple Watch, and 24 and 36-month terms for Mac and iPad. Klarna, the buy now, pay later company, will provide the leasing options. The announcement comes a month after Apple raised prices of some of its devices because of soaring memory and chip storage costs. Leasing programs start at $17 a month for the iPhone, $11.99 for the Apple Watch, $24.99 for Mac, and $11.99 for iPad. At the end of the lease agreement, customers can return the product, get an upgrade, or buy the product for a one-time fee. Now, the difference between this and the previous one was, for instance, the iPhone 17 Pro previously cost $57 a month for 2 years, with the customer owning the device at the end of the term. That was just like simple stuff. Now, they did have to pay for Apple Care. Now, customers can pay $32 a month, so a lot less, which is great. And then you pay a one-time fee if you want to keep it. Only if you want to keep it. In the now discontinued program, customers had to pay Apple Care coverage. In the new program, purchasing Apple Care is optional. Shares of the iPhone maker inched higher in early trading Tuesday, while Klarna shares were down slightly. Sad times. John Ternus is set to take over from Tim Cook as Apple CEO on September 1st, just before the company is expected to announce a new foldable iPhone to compete with rival models already on the market. Now, I think this is going to become more apparent where you won't just buy a physical device outright. You will buy, parts of. Well, you'll pay monthly for that device. That will just be how it works. I think going on forward in the future. Now they're releasing this. I'm surprised this isn't bigger news. It was quite big news when. When we were talking about how Apple prices are going to have to go up, and now again, it's just become. It's just become the norm. It's kind of just like diffused out into just standard practice for a company like this, and for hardware devices that you use pretty much every day. But you will see more of that. You will buy a MacBook or
you can buy hot dogs
Dell.
from Costco on Klarna.
Can you?
That might be a meme actually that I've seen.
That's definitely a meme.
I've seen loads of tweets just like
that's definitely a meme.
No outsider money. I did it all myself. Fully paid off Costco hot dog.
Let's go.
Off Klarna. Like 30 cents here, 30 cents there. Which is pretty joke. I know we've got a few bits and pieces left on the news. I think we should definitely get to the monkeys coming face to face.
We have
with
10
AI.
minutes. Let's do it.
We've got 10 minutes. Where do we even start with this? Costa Rican forest. These monkeys have come face to face with AI. One day last summer, writes Emily Anthes at the New York Times, a curious white-faced capuchin encountered a strange contraption in the forest. There in the middle of the Taboga Forest Reserve in Costa Rica sat a 15-inch touchscreen mounted in a wooden frame. As the monkey, an alpha male named Pappy, let's hear it for Pappy if we can, actually. Let's just get a boom for Pappy. Sounds like an alpha male. Pappy began investigating, taking the device here, prodding it there. His fingers land on the screen. Suddenly, a piece of dried... Such a good soundbite, that. Suddenly, a piece of dried banana drops into a tray below the frame. Pappy is obviously intrigued about this. He is a monkey, after all. The scientists hope that more sophisticated versions of this device that they've dropped in, called Capuchin AI, which they will begin testing in the coming weeks, will shed new light on primate evolution and intelligence and answer questions that would be impossible to study in a lab, such as how a monkey's smarts affect its success and survival. A quote here from Marcela Benitez, a primatologist at Emory University and an author of a new paper that was published in the American Journal of Primatology on Tuesday. She says, if we really want to understand how primates make decisions, if we want to understand how they're using these large brains that they evolved, we have to really put it in context of the world in which they are navigating. Dr. Benitez has been studying the white-faced capuchins at Toboga for years, logging their behavior, recording their vocalizations, and measuring their hormone levels. For the new study, she and her colleagues used images of some of these monkeys to train an artificial intelligence model to identify capuchins and distinguish them from other animals roaming the forest. They built a portable testing station equipped with a touchscreen, webcam, and a 3D printed food dispenser. The station was designed to detect an approaching capuchin and present it with a simple test of associative learning. Could the animal figure out that touching the screen meant receiving an award?
Who knows?
Who knows? That is Capuchin AI reaching the rainforest of Costa Rica. And it's nice to see the monkeys get involved in the AI race. Hopefully we will see a few models coming from them very soon. But
I think we can welcome our next guest on. Why don't we just do it now?
welcome our next guest on straight away. We can get Andreas Helbig from Atomico into the studio. Let's do it, man. Let me get your chair.
And then
we're still getting used to the layout. You're our second guest ever in person.
Second guest ever in person. I heard second place is the first loser, but
No, not at all. The more the merrier. The more the merrier.
Not at all.
happy to be out here with you guys.
What do you think of the setup
Looking
here?
sharp.
We've
This is great.
We've
This
got
feels
camera there, camera here.
It's pretty
camera
comfy, isn't it? It's
here.
pretty cool.
it feels very good. It's a bit weird, like watching your own face here all the time.
Yeah, maybe
You have to kind of get used to it.
We can
Your
experiment.
guys' faces are actually pretty, so you should probably just take
Not at all. Dude, welcome to the show. You've been on before. This is the first time you've ever been on in person. Where do we even start? Maybe for the viewers and the listeners at home, you can talk to the camera there. They can see you. You can maybe just introduce yourself, who you are, what is Atomico, and then, as you know, we've got a bunch of questions that we want to dive into as well.
No, super happy to. Thanks for having me, guys. This is third time on the show and first time in real life.
Let's
It feels like a formative moment.
You can hit a...
We haven't seen you in how many months has it been? It's only when we started to
when we
launch
started,
ETN, right?
you brought the caps over, and we
did. Yeah, so it's like probably
traded
first month
for State of European Tech books.
Yes.
We need to get some new ones.
Yeah, I mean, we should actually. We should get you guys some.
We
Get
should
some
get
new ones for the
some.
studio.
What happened to the
They're
show?
up- they're upstairs.
All
They're
in a
upstairs.
storage box, actually.
Well, they're outdated,
We've
man,
got
so we
two
have to.
rooms full. Do you remember our cap
Yeah.
wall? Cap wall's not here anymore. So we've got two rooms of merch and,
Full of caps
and things that
stuff.
people have sent in. So we're still working out how to decorate the space. Obviously, we've got the guest area that you can kind of see. We've got Hercules, who's over there. We've got a little olive tree there who Alex has been taking good care of.
It looks phenomenal.
So yeah, a few bits and pieces, but we would always love merch from Atomico.
Of course. I mean, this is ETN, the technology shell X self-storage facility. That's great to be here.
Dude, so good to have you. As you know,
we're gonna get you guys some proper merch.
we can do that very, very soon.
We should do that. We should do that ASAP. But yeah, coming back, I'm Andy. I'm one of the partners on the venture team at Atomico, one of the largest funds in Europe, investing anything from seed up until pre-IPO across both a venture strategy, the one that I'm on a partner of, and a growth strategy. Have been doing that for over 20 years in Europe. Started in Europe, for Europe, started by Niklas, who co-founded Skype back in the very old days, and have a lot of fun while doing that.
Amazing. Where do we start on the European angle? Would love to chat scale-up funds in general. We obviously have the European scale-up fund. We have seen there's been some tensions between like France and the UK, whether we can participate in that. Then I saw that the UK is now like almost there with a billion pound scale-up fund. Why are we seeing so many scale-up funds?
That's a good question. I think there's a couple of things that come together, and I think one of the things that we've highlighted in our State of European Tech report, which is something that we've been now doing for also over 10 years now, I think 11 years, is there's still a capital gap in Europe, a massive capital gap in Europe, and the capital gap specifically sits on the pension fund side. It's 0.01% of AUM that goes into venture. You contrast it to the US, it's 2 to 3, depending on which stat you find. But just the magnitude of difference is massive. And so I think sort of this understanding and sort of this banging on the table around sort of this certain piece around, okay, hey, if we actually want to build out European resilience, European-born strong technology companies, we actually need to invest in venture. That's now something that I think 10 years ago there was a novelty to bang down the table. 5 years ago, still people needed to learn about that. Now I think even in the higher levels up on the politician side, there's a certain shared understanding around, okay, this is the case. I think we're still in this phase around, we're actually a bit more in the experimentation phase around what the solution is to that problem that undeniably exists.
Yeah.
And scale-up funds seems to be sort of the answer, or sort of the first ambitious initiatives that we see coming out of that, actually coming into practice. The Etsy initiative is another one, which is a lot more distributed, but the Scale-Up Europe funds and the Scale-Up UK fund potentially, if that exists,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Rumors.
Is a bit more of a concentrated strategy.
Yeah.
But in the end, right, I think there's so many things to really be very excited by here, which is one is we really have a joint understanding of we need more capital going into technology, because technology companies, they don't emerge from nowhere and just pop out and are existing, but they actually need to be nurtured. There needs to be a failure along the way. Not everyone will make it, but there needs to be a proper financing of the venture model. Yeah. And that's now an understanding that was really come into place. So first of all, that's great. So the bang on the table has worked.
Yep,
I think the common understanding has found. Yes. So that's the one thing. And then secondly, and I think that's been the thing that the scale-up initiatives have been doing phenomenally well, is to drum up capital for these initiatives. Not just sort of within the more EU, the more government-centric pockets, but also from private capital, from pension funds, foundations, etc. So there's been a great fundraising effort that has been done. I think what we now need to come to is we need to have a lot more of these initiatives. And I mean, we've been in the running for the Scale Up Europe Fund, narrowly missed out, sadly.
Next one.
Is there some sad music?
Yeah, we've got
very nice sad
SpongeBob fail.
sad music
wouldn't call it a fail, I would hope. But congrats to EQT, who won that and will be a great steward of this.
And Atomico, we're very public, very thankful, very happy about, a good steward. There was a nice fair play. I think we covered it actually from the founder. I think we called it top 10 most fair play moments at venture capital.
Well, it's good. We've lots of great portfolio companies that I keep on calling them about. But so it's always no. But there will be a great steward of capital for this one. I think what we now need to go on. We need to elevate that. Sort of what's the next thing that comes after the scale-up funds? Like what's we acknowledge there's an issue on capital, so what's really coming next? What's coming after that is more of a distributed, how do we actually get capital into venture? How do we build up great venture funds? How do we scale the ambition that these venture funds have? Because so far, a lot of us are constrained by fund size, and we really need to increase that and get that to the next level. And I think scale-up funds are a good starting point, but now the next step is to really build out a broader European resilience program that goes way beyond these, and there's some good discussions that are happening.
The direction is definitely correct in terms of, we speak to a lot of people and they say that there is enough capital, it's all kind of sitting in sovereign wealth funds and everything, like we're a rich continent, right? But it's the direction of where that capital is going. Yeah. So it's like, it's nice to have somewhere to actually concentrate that capital for once. And then, as you say, right, it's like, okay, now the concentration's there, let's carry on that direction to go further and further and further. What does actually further look like, right? Like now it feels like we're always asking for more, but because the previous step isn't always enough. What does the next step look like?
What does the next step look like is I think there just needs to be a more and a broader distributed initiative around just getting more capital into venture, right? Like we're seeing why are European pension funds so interested in investing in US equities predominantly? It's because it's been performing well. And why has it been performing well? Because of the tech companies that are in there.
Sure.
Yes?
Sure.
So in order to get that same motion kicked off from the ground, we need to invest in the European companies. from the ground up, so that we would actually have a similar market with similar returns and a similar profile going forward from there. But that doesn't happen if you only invest sort of after the fact and into the public equity. So there needs to be call it a bit of a leap of faith probably on lots of on their side to get into venture, to explore that more. And that's I think where the Scale Up Europe Fund, because it's been so public, because it's been so large, because it portrayed such a strong ambition, has been a fantastic catalyst for lots of conversations around, okay, well, maybe if we're investing 200 million in these Scale Up funds, maybe we should also take another 200 million and invest it in a couple of funds that pursue similar goals in order to really build up the ecosystem beyond just one fund. So this is the kind of conversations that are happening. And I think what we just need more of in Europe is beyond these lighthouse initiatives to really, it's great that there's lighthouse initiatives, but we need to take the next step beyond that. And these are conversations that are luckily happening. So there's more than just a scale-up fund.
Yeah, there's definitely vibes, isn't it?
There's definitely vibes. And I think that's been like what's the whole thing that's underlying that. And it always sounds so fluffy, but I've now been doing venture for 11.5 years. Yeah. And the companies that I'm passing on now, like I would have killed for these companies like 10 years ago. It's the underlying builder quality is so insanely good compared to what we've seen before.
There's depth, right?
There's so much depth.
For once,
there's so much depth.
Yeah.
You speak to all of these founders and they're in their early 20s, and they come being incredibly ambitious, academically very gifted, very talented, very smart people. But now instead of going to Goldman or McKinsey or the other places that they would have gone in the past, they actually start companies.
Yeah.
And like that's phenomenal. And coming back to Vibes,
what do you think the drivers of that are specifically? Just before we go.
I mean, I think there's a couple of things. One is role models, right? Like I mean, when Niklas started Skype, like it was the only European tech exit for I think like 5 years in the $1 billion plus range. So which is ridiculous if you think about it going forward. Now that there's new unicorns minted, and we also have exits, fewer than unicorns minted, but it's coming. First of all, the role models are there, right? Like Niklas was that 20 plus years ago, but you have the new generation, Max from Legora, you have Hjalmar from Neko, you had Sam from Granola on earlier today, right?
Yeah, we did,
Right, like you have the new generations coming in, Matti at 11 Labs, like so many different people who are also vocal, who are speaking about it, who serve as role models, who serve as inspirational characters, inspirational figures. Like, look, if this guy can do it, I can also do it. Exactly. And I think that's a great thing. I think the just knowledge around how to build a company is something that's been actually underrepresented, but actually getting better and better. Yeah. So things like YC, Startup School, all the PG essays, etc. There's just the knowledge in how to build a company has been better than ever before, either because you have a mentor who's been running a company, or because you can just use all of these resources that are available. So, which once again increases the quality of company building, not just the quantity of companies being built, but the quality of company building. And it's now a desirable career path, which, I mean, I think 10 years ago you will have been looked at, oh, you're studying a business? Oh, that's weird. Don't you want to like do something proper before you do that? I think that's a societal shift, and that's actually the shift that I'm most excited by, because I think one is, you can be so easy at dismissing vibes for just being vibes. Yeah. But vibes are essential. Mm-hmm. Like, agree. It's the societal shift towards entrepreneurship coming through in capital deployed, the status of being an entrepreneur, the status of being associated with the tech industry, the status of all of this that comes in. You can call it status, you can call it whatever you want, but that's vibes after all. Yeah. Vibes are essential.
100%.
You build vibes, and then you build companies, and then you build capital, and then you build returns.
We said that we have
literally true, right? Like we've got that in
we had it in
philosophy that we spoke it with Anish. Like there's that in the book, Bubbles and Stagnation. I can't remember. It's one of the Stripe Press books that we've discussed and gone through on the show before. And like I was recommended it by a friend of mine, Jack Needham, and he was telling me, you know, there was a part in that book that he really likes, that pre-industrial revolution here, specifically in the UK, but like large-scale continental change, or I guess on this one more domestic, words like optimism and hope.
Let me read out our
stuff
manifesto.
Like this. Yeah,
so it
like,
says, ideas was not it was ideas, not capital or institutions that made the modern world, said, I don't want to mess up the name, but Deirdre McCluskey. I hope that's correct. Maybe read that. Economic historian Deirdre McCluskey's quantitative analysis of books from 16th to the 18th century showed a spike in pro-innovation vocabulary before the Industrial Revolution. Words like liberty, improvement, ingenuity, and hope began to appear in context of trade and technology. The Industrial Revolution was a product of belief, right? So it's like that's the thing that we're trying to draw on is like, you know, it's about vibes as much as it is about having a market that's ready to take it on. And vibes actually should come before the market. The vibes actually builds the market ready for it to be there. And so Anish had a post yesterday and quote posted our launch and said, I've kind of changed my mind on Europe. And the reason being is because the market is ready.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's naturally very fragmented with a bunch of things that could very much benefit from AI and frontier technology. But then you've also got the vibes, and that pairing makes for a very, very strong pairing to create a pressure cooker of great companies.
And I think that's what we've always had in Europe is we have always had great builders. We've always had fantastic academic talent. We have some of the best universities out there.
We're a broken record, right? We say this all the time.
Yeah, we're kind of sitting in, like in the past, we were sitting in our corners and being our little garages, or not, it's not garages, research labs.
We don't have garages in Europe.
But research labs.
In our summer houses.
Exactly, in our summer houses, yes. And we weren't talking about it. And I think that's also why ETN and what Seb is doing, et cetera, what's so important is we need to change the narrative of European tech. There's so many fantastic builders out there, but if we don't talk about it, like nothing's gonna change. No one's gonna hear the message. No one will feel inspired by it.
Yeah,
and
agree.
we need to get out there and tell that message because it's true. It's the builders that we're seeing. Like it's so inspiring. When I came back on Monday to London, it's my 75th flight all across Europe.
Yeah, well, I've seen
this year. Wow. And so you're all across the
continent.
July,
and that's more flights than I've ever taken in my whole life, and I'm 27.
Well, I'm older than that. But it's like you see it all across the continent. I think I've been let alone to Stockholm like 6 or 7 times this year, and to Berlin and Munich like 3 or 4 times each. And you really see that all across the continent. You see these movements, and it's so fragmented, and it kind of gets picked up maybe in the German media or in the Swedish media or in a sort of that like small echo chamber of one founder is posting about something, gets reposted in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do, and that kind of comes back to what you were saying about sort of the different scale-up funds in UK and France and all of these tensions. I think the solution is always pan-European. The solution will always be pan-European. Every single European country is too small. Every single European country. And we need to think in a pan-European mindset, and we need capital that's pan-European. That's what we try to be. Like we try to be out there. I'm working all my heart.
You're doing a pretty good job of being out
for
there,
that. But I think that's why it's great that this is not even though we're here in London, and this is not a London-centric show, right? Like we need to all solutions for Europe will always be pan-European. Because if we just do our small little things, like it's not going to happen. And that's why I have the biggest allergy towards this. Oh, we want to be the next Silicon Valley here in our little region in Germany. That's not going to happen. Right? We need to think in pan-European solutions, and we need to think about how we can work better together, so that the British builders will be inspired by the German builders, and the German builders will be inspired by the Swedish builders, etc. And we kind of all bring it all together. And we've had this fantastic stat. Tom Behmeyer, who's our head of
he's great.
Head of intelligence, who's been
amazing guy.
the person
Deserves a shout
who's
out
been
as well,
massive shout out to Tom. He's amazing. Had this fantastic stat. He has a newsletter that he's putting out, and he's very big into data-driven storytelling, etc. Around the fact that I think it was only 25% of European unicorns' workforce are actually coming from that specific country where the unicorn was founded. So only, on average, 25% of German unicorns' workforce is German. The rest is like pan-European, or mostly pan-European by definition. So you see that in the successful stories, is that you kind of have this pan-Europeanness baked in because, well, the domestic markets are too small. Guess what? So as Light, for example, Jonathan, who you also had on the show, I think,
Yep.
closing
Light.
guest before, shout out to Jonathan, just launched Germany, as a market. So in order to be successful, well, we need to be successful not just in Denmark, where they got started, and in the UK, where the commercial office sits, but also in Germany. And so you see that pan-European billion-dollar plus success, billion euro plus success stories will need to be pan-European by definition. So we need to think in a more of a pan-European solution type of way. And I think, funnily enough, the other point I was trying to make is Skype is a perfect example of this. I think there's so many countries that are claiming Skype, because Niklas is Swedish, his co-founder Janos was Danish. The engineering office was in Tallinn, so the Estonians are claiming that as well.
I've been to like Tallinn in Estonia, and like there's a lot of conversations about Skype, right? Like,
yeah, because that was sort of the first big modern engineering office out there that really got it all started. But then Niklas, for the longest time, was based in London, actually, while he was building it. I think officially incorporated was somewhere between Luxembourg and Netherlands. I can't remember. Niklas should be telling the story in a much better way. But that's how you see it, is that the success cases will always be pan-European, and so we need to think pan-European from the start. So I always hate it when I hear, France and Britain are fighting about the Scale Up Europe Fund participation, whatever. It's like, just guys, like, that's not going to solve our issues. Like, we need to work together here, and we need to figure out our weird accents and say for sure in a French accent 5 times.
For sure.
Exactly.
We do have a for sure.
And so that's the only thing of how we can make it work together jointly in Europe, is to think pan-European, and that's why you have to be on 75 flights. I'm sitting here with my weird German accent.
That's a record-breaking flight number for the show, by the way. We've never had anyone...
Was it you that posted the video of like all your flights? Did you post that on X?
I posted a screenshot.
Yeah,
and then it was Jacob at Creandum who challenged me.
Oh, really?
No way. Call him out. But no, I hear what you're saying. I echo the same substitute. We need to think more like a continent instead of individual countries. And it's harder, right? Because you mentioned you have to go and launch Germany, because maybe like there'll be slight cultural differences, or there'll be like a slight language barrier. But every country you're going into, it's essentially like you're not just opening up another revenue line or another country. Like, you're launching a brand new company in a way, and I guess in the States that's not really a problem, because everyone's same culture-ish, same language, makes things easier. But on that, I remember a while back there was call for a pan-European stock market. We here in the UK specifically, like the LSEG has been struggling over the past few months. It used to be a huge topic of debate. Now I don't really know what I don't know if people have just given up on it, or where has the dialogue gone. I'm not sure. Thoughts on this generally?
There's not enough discourse about this stuff.
I agree.
More stuff needs to be.
I agree, and I think if we think about it from an overall European resilience perspective, this is a very, very important initiative, because once again, the individual markets are too small. Like, why would you IPO in Norway, Sweden, Poland, etc., if you're actually a big business? Like, you're on the global market anyways at some point, so therefore you can argue New York.
If you're big enough to IPO in Norway, maybe.
If you have that global scale anyways, does it really matter where you IPO? That's at least that's at least sort of for the top $1 billion plus outcomes. That's for sure the case. But I mean, if you look at the individual, stock exchanges all across Europe, just the trading volumes are just very low. And so, would I love that one of these more pan-European ones would exist? Absolutely. I'm not an expert on public equities. I'm a German engineer who somehow ended up in venture. But I would want for there to be more discourse on that, because it was such an important initiative, and there's been so many people who tried it out and then went together, and then I think it's always a little bit of a power dynamic. Should the London Stock Exchange Group, should they supersede the German Deutsche Börse? Should they supersede the French? And in the end, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like, what matters is that if we're global, you're global, and we should all work together a lot more in Europe, including very much the public markets.
How do we create more?
I don't know how to do this. I don't feel qualified enough to take a stance on it, but I would love to have it.
It's a very rare thing to admit nowadays. I mean, people would just come out with a spiel like us.
A question that I feel like you could give a good answer to, or give some insight into, is how do we create more discourse? Like, how do we create more talking? I mean, we're on X. We feel like more people should be on X in the European ecosystem. We think that would be it'd be net positive by a long way for the European ecosystem. How do we create more discourse?
Yeah, I think the answer is more Europeans should be on X, truly, or there should be more discourse on LinkedIn, but that's not really the platform.
It's not the platform.
So it's like it is the place where opinions are being formed, where public debate is being held before it hits the mainstream media, if you will, before it hits LinkedIn, 3 days before it hits LinkedIn.
3 weeks, bro.
depending on the type of controversy. Like, do we want to be in it, or do we want to be out of it? You can have all the opinions that you want about Elon Musk and X and whatever, and you can like the people there, you cannot like the people there, but either you're part of the discourse or you're not. And I would rather choose to be part of the discourse than to be out of it.
Especially if you're a VC as well, right? Like there's so much alpha on X. You can get a heat check on. You can go on X at 10 a.m. You can go on X at 10:05 a.m. and get a different heat map on what's going on.
Not even just tech as well, like tech, sport. You go even
the global
finer
newspaper.
verticals within
global
tech.
newspaper.
Literally, just like every single vertical you imagine, there is a niche for you. There is a crowd for you. There is everything you need. And I agree with you. I think maybe Europe's problem in general is, one, they're not part of that conversation, which there's still time to be a part of. There's no time, there's no countdown clock on that whatsoever. But it's starting to become the place where you kind of have to be. Like we reported earlier today that there was a conversation thread. Like Zuckerberg puts out his letter calling for let's actually accelerate things in a safe way. And Nikita Beard, head of product at X, replies to him, "Hey, dude, you don't need to put the link in the post anymore. In the comments, you can embed it in the post directly." Paul Graham replies, "When did you guys do this?" And Elon Musk replies to him,
and they're all doing it directly, not through their agencies, their comms people,
just
whatever.
On the phone like this.
Exactly, they're just doing it directly. Do you guys see Bernard Arnault doing it?
I was about to say his go direct, incredible, right?
Round of applause for that, because that was absolutely incredible.
Fantastic response, where you can kind of see, you've heard about the article, you can see that, it's coming through, but that's human. That makes it like a very human
but he did it in a very
emotion.
classy way.
He did it in a super classy way, and he totally reframed the conversation to.
Well, he started it saying
everyone
thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he started from everyone is infighting at LBMA. It's just no, this is a responsibility that's being handed on generation by generation. Was I think such a genius reframing of the conversation.
Let him cook.
And a fantastic response in a very, very good way. So, I mean, if all CEOs are going direct, why are you, as a seed or Series A stage founder, not going direct?
Doing that.
Yeah. It blows my mind. We've been on the show. It's pretty fine. We don't think we've ever really had people that are too buttoned up on the show. I think because it's live, because it's authentic, it naturally just brings that out of you, which is a great thing. Us right now, we're having a normal, we could be in the pub having a pint right now and probably be the same conversation.
I forgot that there's a camera.
But it's natural though. It's a little bit more laid back, and I do feel that.
Also, where's my pint?
Cool. I did say that champagne for
I
guests.
actually do have a friend who owns. I have a friend who
necessary.
owns an automatic pint pouring company. You press a button, and it just kind of comes down, builds you, pours you a perfect pint.
The robots are really
we
taking all our jobs, man.
Yeah, let's get a vending machine.
We should get one over there.
Get it right there.
We could be our own little WeWork.
Hercules. Oh, not a WeWork. That's not what we want to be. I know we're coming to the end, or basically at the end. Just one final question. The European AI Safety Act, it's coming, I think, this Sunday or something? I don't know, is that early?
Sunday
I don't know why it would be on
Sunday
Sunday.
would be very un-European, and I kind of like it,
I know,
actually.
as I'm saying that, I'm wait, that can't be right.
Well, there's a big debate now in Germany about opening supermarkets on Sunday. So
let alone a European
Safety Act.
But it's on its way. I think it's in the next 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure it's next week it's coming out. General thoughts around this. Is it still relevant? This thing was written up a number of months ago. The AI space moves very quick. Obviously, the whole thing is around safety. Safety is a trending topic right now. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a very important thing that should be discussed, and there should be open dialogue around that as well. Anything that you, Atomico, are thinking about this? Anything that you, as Andreas, is thinking about this?
I'm not a lawyer, but I think, I think Europe has a great way of how to position ourselves as actually where regulation and success can go hand in hand. We've actually had a fantastic case in the fintech industry where fintechs in Europe are Revolut is the most successful neobank by a mile.
Yep.
also compared to the US, because the regulatory framework actually allowed them to be successful. And that's my hope that I have for the AI Safety Act, is that we find a regulation that actually ensures that there's space for companies to thrive and to innovate, whilst also putting it in a trusted and in a safe environment, if you will, where enterprises can trust the deployments so that there's no whatever data being stolen by some backdoors here and there. Like there's a whatever you can deploy, you can have kids interact with AI without safety barriers being broken, etc. So I think there's actually a great opportunity if we do it right, and not in a regulation for the sake of regulation type of way, but in a smart regulation that allows Europe to be at the forefront of trusted, resilient, sovereign, if you will, AI that actually gets deployed into critical systems for industries, critical industries, for our kids, for wherever there's real trust and safety needed. And that's my potentially naive, but I don't care. That's, my job is being optimistic and a bit naive at times. Exactly. Vibes, after all. But that's my hope for what it is going to be, is that we can actually have the opportunity to position ourselves with regards to, being the trusted AI partner and actually having companies that build towards that framework that then kind of automatically is the stamp of approval. Okay, this is approved by the European AI Act. This can be deployed in oil fields in Texas. This can be deployed wherever globally in really safety and critical environments. And that's my hope for it. I am not a lawyer. I'm not the big, not too deep on the details, but I think that regulatory is kind of almost sort of this visceral allergic reaction that's been triggered by that word. I think we need to get out of that frame. It's become a little bit sort of the meme about, the Europeans, we regulate everything. It's not completely wrong, but I think we can regulate in the right type of way that actually creates prosperity, as we've seen.
Well, that debate is happening in the open source and closed source models, right, at the moment, where it's like we can regulate ourselves to growth, actually, which is the kind of famous European saying we can't regulate our way to growth. But realistically, like there are conversations saying, hey, look, like to be able to grow in the right way with frontier AI, there is actually regulation needed, and obviously regulation has a bad stick. But
if you do it in a smart way,
exactly.
Even though I thought Jensen's statement on Twitter, on X, once again, was quite tongue-in-cheek around like, we both need closed AI and we need open AI, and all of that needs compute, and we're selling compute. Was a bit tongue-in-cheek, I gotta say. I understand where it's coming from. All the respect for that.
Their business is right. They're profit-making machines. So I think shutting down a founder wherever if they're a frontier founder building a hyperscaler or not, like, they're trying to make money, right? That is how these things work.
And I really want us to, and that's, we can argue of, here's all the spaces where we've lost in Europe, and I hate this debate because it's not particularly productive. It's more about where we're going to win in the future.
Agree.
And we now see that. Now I have to do the shameless portfolio plugging here. But like physics X and like very critical industrial environments, in simulation is, these guys are trusted, and partially also because they are European. That's why Temasek invested in the last financing round, etc., because they are the trusted partner globally, because they take it actually very seriously. Ankar, Tamar, who are building the enterprise R&D knowledge system, operating system for everything that has to do with enterprise R&D, from patents to knowledge to prior artwork, etc. That's one of the big reasons for why companies like L'Oreal are trusting them, is because they think like that from the start, with safety and with integrity and with trust in mind. Rachel at Frontier Health, like they're building for the NHS. But if you manage to sell to the NHS and go through all of the hoops, they get calls and calls from the US private clinics, because they know that if you can deploy in the NHS, you can kind of deploy it everywhere at scale, in a secure and in a safe and in a trusted manner. So there is actually a path about, okay, why don't we actually embrace that piece and take it there and sell European resilience and European trust to the world? So why don't we just take it as an opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. Agree. Thank you so much. We
even got the portfolio flagging in.
Yeah, we can close out together.
Let's close out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you very much for joining the show. We appreciate it.
Tune in tomorrow. We're back because we are 5 days a week.
Day 4 coming in.
No 4-hour work week here.
No. Good stuff.
Got it.